like a worn-out recording of a favorite song. So while she lay there sleeping, I read the paper in bed. And in the personal columns, there was this letter I read. If you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, if you're not into yoga.
If you love pina coladas and love getting caught on the plane, you must be Ted Cruz.
Okay,
Lola.
I see the method to your madness now.
I asked Lola to start the show with the pina colada song, Escape, from Rupert Holmes, and she looked at me and went, there better be a damn good reason why. I had a method.
Oh, you did.
If you like pina coladas and getting caught on the plane to Cancun, you might be Ted Cruz, who absolutely bounced on the state of Texas and went to Cancun. To me, this breaks the first rule of politics.
Yeah.
I'm Big Rick, that's Lola, this is Real Big Talk, and if you are just catching up, this is a true story.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talked a great deal about it. In fact, dominating the headlines in the last couple of days, really, is what is happening in Texas. The power grid's down, the refineries are closed, people's homes are frozen over, they can't get water. It is it's a disaster. I mean, it's a legitimate disaster. It is a state emergency. It's awful. It's awful, and I know that it's hard to take yourself out of Wheeling or Western Pennsylvania or Ohio and put yourself in Texas right now. And I know a lot of people don't have the warmest, fuzziest feelings about Texas, but at the end of the day, there's still people that are very much struggling. And you would think someone who's as vocal on what other people do as Ted Cruz would have thought, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't take the family to Cancun while people in my state can't get water. Nah, the hell with it. Let's just go to Cancun. This is true. It's happened. It's legit. It's honest. The pictures are out there. Plain as day. Ted Cruz went to Cancun. What do you guys think about this? 304-214-1600. 304-214-1600. If West Virginia was suffering, a big chunk of West Virginia. I mean, really, there's more people in Houston than there are in the state of West Virginia.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, we would have to really just say the whole state just to even come mildly close to the number. But if everybody in the state of West Virginia was suffering and you found out that Joe Manchin hopped a plane to Hawaii, how would
Oh my gosh, they burned the state down.
if you could find some fire,
True.
burn it.
True.
And that's how you'd feel. And that's how you should feel. I will say this about Joe Manchin. And it was just happened to be in the place at the time that this happened. I was in Atlanta for the Sugar Bowl when WVU played in the Sugar Bowl, but they moved it from New Orleans to Atlanta. And I was in a restaurant. And Joe Manchin was also in that restaurant, and that was the same time of I believe it was the Sago Mine. It was Sago Mine incident. And Joe Manchin was whisked out of this restaurant and on a plane back to West Virginia like that.
Yep.
And I'm not even making this a Joe Manchin thing. All I'm saying is he did the right thing in that moment. There's a disaster in my state. I'm going back. Now, I do believe he was the governor at the time,
Yeah.
and not a senator. But still, my state needs me. I'm taking action and getting.
Doesn't matter what your title is.
No, it
it's
doesn't.
Your state.
It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't. I was just trying to make as close comparison as I could. But right now, I saw that guy do that. I saw him do that. And it was a big story, and he was back in West Virginia within an hour or two. I mean, it was quick. Ted Cruz was in Texas and left it.
Yep. His little mansion went out of firewood, and so he had to go away.
Yeah, it's just gross. That's gross. And really the gross really the gross part about this is Texas will reelect him.
I know.
I mean, this isn't enough for Texas to go, boy, this is dirty pool here. No, we all would have done it. I've already seen people defend it. I've seen people from Texas defend this. Wouldn't you go? No. Just like that crazy mayor yesterday from that Texas city, Colorado City, Texas. We talked about it. If you haven't seen it, just a brief description. I won't go back and revisit the entire thing. But he blasted the people in his own city, telling them, hey, don't depend on us. Go out there and find your own firewood, find your own water, take care of your own family, find your own food. I'm tired of giving handouts. I'm tired of people that want handouts. That's what a mayor said. He's no longer the mayor, by the way. That's what he said yesterday to his particular city in Texas. And now you have Ted Cruz, who just went, let somebody else deal with it. These tickets are non-refundable.
That's what I was going to say. He couldn't get a refund.
That is embarrassing.
And it also, okay, so he's down in Cancun, bailed on Texas, and he's also bailing on any negotiations for a COVID relief bill.
I mean, leave it to Lola to go back to the actual, even larger, United States picture, not just Texas. But you're right.
Isn't it amusing too that wasn't he either tapped to be the head of the Energy Commission or something? It had something to do with energy. He was. Oh no, that was Rick Perry, who was also governor and is no longer to be seen, since it's their energy grid that has just completely collapsed.
Yeah.
But because they didn't bother to winterize any of the important things like wind power stations, and they were warned 10 years ago to winterize them just in case something like this would happen. They could continue to generate, because they get like 20-some% of their energy just from wind turbines.
Well, and it is. If you've ever been to Texas, the wind whips. I mean, you can understand how that's possible. But yeah, they didn't do anything. And again, I mean, I don't hold John Q. Texan necessarily responsible for, this, because he's not in a position to change it. All he can do is vote. I mean, one of the things that Lola has been very consistent about on this show is it's not who the president is, it's who you elect in your local and state government. Boy, Texas, you just learned that lesson tenfold.
Yeah.
But you won't learn it. That's the problem. You won't learn it.
They won't remember it.
No.
Right now they're all railing. Oh my goodness, let's, off with their heads. And yet in 2 years, when the first election cycle comes around, nobody will remember it.
No.
Nobody will remember it.
No, and like I said, I've already seen people on social media defending, well, I'd leave too. Well, yeah,
sure.
because you, John Q. Texan.
We all would leave.
We all would leave. This guy is the guy you elected to stay and to help fix and create relief. And instead, he left. Packed up the family and went on vacation. And if this happened in the entire state of West Virginia, every person was affected by something that was happening in the entire state of West Virginia. If this was one of our elected officials, if Governor Jim just said, this problem will persist next week, we'll just get around to it then, everybody would be on fire. As much as I hate Tom Wolf, if I found out that Tom Wolf packed up and left because, Pittsburgh and Washington County and Armstrong County and all the counties surrounding Pittsburgh were under water, and he was just like, it's not really my thing. I think I'll head to California, hit the beaches. We'd be furious, absolutely furious. We have a call?
Yes. It's Dan.
Hey, Dan, what's on your mind?
What did your mother always say? Do as I say, not as I do.
Well, that's my mom was actually a model citizen, but I know where you're going with this.
But the other thing would be, you know what the golden rule is, don't you?
Do
those who possess the gold rule
Well, yeah, I mean that would be that's really the thing. I mean, you can't argue with the fact that Ted Cruz is, I mean, he's beloved in Texas. For whatever reason, he's beloved in Texas, and he just bailed on all of Texas, and they don't care.
Well, you know what the important thing is they didn't take him up to the Greenbrier to the bunker.
No, he's definitely not at the Greenbrier. He traded in that opportunity for much warmer climates and sandier beaches.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is it's embarrassing. I mean, as someone who is not a Texan, I'm embarrassed for Texas. I'm embarrassed for Texas.
Well, the other thing would be if you had, like last week when they were trying to impeach Trump, or a couple weeks before when they were trying to get the stimulus package, would it have been any different if you bailed and went to the Super Bowl with your kid? No, if you got the money, go ahead and go.
Well, I think the difference is that, one, the Super Bowl is in the lower 48. If he would have, and I'm just using your example just because you brought it up.
Yeah.
If somebody takes an evening or a day and goes to the Super Bowl with their kid and then goes right back to work, I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But this problem didn't exist the day of the Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl, World Series, Stanley Cup Finals, and everything else all rolled into one incident for what's happening in Texas, and he left all of them. This is Texas has had some issues lately, certainly with flooding in the last couple of years, and we remember, Houston was underwater at one point, and then it happened again in the not so recent past. But this is much bigger than any of that. This affects what's happening in Texas. I mentioned this yesterday. We talked about it. What's happening in Texas right now is going to affect the entire country. And I'm not saying that Ted Cruz has a responsibility to fix anything in West Virginia. All I know is West Virginia, Michigan, California, New Jersey, and everywhere else is going to suffer because of what's happening there, especially when it comes to the refineries. I mean, not that Ted Cruz has to go in and melt the snow at the refineries and start them up personally, but he should probably take a responsibility to know how much reliance there is on what happens in his state for other states, and he's in Cancun.
The other question I have is, where did he find the airport with lights?
That's actually a hell of a question. I don't know. I would imagine if you have the coin that Cruz has, you can find just about any place you're looking for. I'm sure he's not running low on gas or searching for water either. But yeah, it's a good question. I can't imagine what the moral compass says. Get on the plane. Texas will be here when I get back.
Yeah, well, have a blessed day.
You too, Dan. Thanks, man. Yeah, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I couldn't come to work on Tuesday because I couldn't get down the hill that I live on. And I felt bad because I felt like I let the people I work with down. I created a hole that needed to be filled. And I don't do anything nearly as important as what Ted Cruz is supposed to be doing for the state of Texas. And he left for Cancun. I had to sit in my house, try to chip ice off my driveway. I don't know where, if that isn't the most important function of being a senator, to be there when your state needs you, then what is? What is?
Yeah, they're in the midst of a national emergency. I mean, they've got emergency funding or whatever they want to call it. He probably was in D.C. and flew out of there.
Yeah,
because there was like 18 inches of snow there. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, I can't even describe how miserable I feel for the people of Texas is what they're going through, and now they're dealing with someone who should actually care.
Yeah, I know.
Leaving. Just to throw this out there to you, I went back and looked, and Ted Cruz was adamantly against emergency funding for New York and New England states when they needed it for similar reasons. He was adamantly against it. Did not want to distribute funding for...
Oh, you're just ticking me off now. I mean, I'm just really getting frosted here.
Hey, again, I'm just telling you what I found. Adamantly against funding because they're blue states. They're blue states. And now the tables have turned. You want to talk about now that it matters who the president is? Now it matters for Texas who the president is. Because Joe Biden, 4 days ago, already authorized. And that's the thing. And nobody, I don't want to say nobody, not fair. So many people I've seen posting out there in the world about somebody better wake up Biden and let him know. I mean, what, are they going to withhold funding because the state didn't vote for him? He already did it. He did it almost in advance of the problem.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not one to carry Joe Biden around on my shoulders and tell you what a great president I think he's been, because I don't necessarily think that. What I do think is he did the right thing well in advance. People just want to be mad. People would rather right now, society is split between how mad are you at Joe Biden for being a Democrat and not doing the right thing, which he actually did do in advance 4 days ago. They are more mad. People in Texas are responding more about the idea of Joe Biden not doing everything he can do for Texas than they are upset that their own senator from Texas went to Cancun in the middle of it. You want to talk about the most divided we've ever been? Wow. Wow. How is this a thing?
It just saddens me.
It should. It should. But that's the thing. Lola, it doesn't sadden everyone.
I know.
It angers everybody to whatever side that they want to lean to. It just continues to divide. I mean, normally you'd go, you know what? It's a politician taking a trip. We see that so much it doesn't even faze us.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, look, a national emergency. President's playing golf, or at Camp Kennebunkport, or wherever in the hell they go. It doesn't faze us. But this now is so blatantly rude, and people still aren't mad at him. They're still more mad at Biden than they are at Ted Cruz.
It makes no sense.
No.
People don't make any sense anymore.
No, it really doesn't. I want to, real quick before we end this segment, I want to go back to something we talked about yesterday, of course, right? And when we went on the air at 2 o'clock yesterday, the news of the death of Rush Limbaugh had just been breaking. And we opened up the show talking about that. And I made the case of, you know, I don't agree with the things he did and said. All I'm saying is the guy did captivate the radio world, and he changed political talk. Not saying it was for the better, not saying that he was right, just saying he did. I separated the man from the job. The job is make millions and create billions for radio stations, and he did do that. And so I'm not going to apologize for saying that. But last night, while having a discussion with some of my friends online about this very same subject, I am absolutely blown away. He didn't mean anything to me other than the fact that that was a guy who took the same profession that I had and turned it into a juggernaut. That's the only connection that I had to him, is he made a radio show into a flamethrower, into something that created an incredible living for himself. That's it. And I have a lot of radio friends that kind of feel the same as I did. But anybody outside of the radio business that I talked about this with lands in either one of two places. One, thinks I'm absolutely crazy for caring that he died. I'm not mourning the loss. I'm just noting what the guy did with a microphone in front of his mouth. That's incredible. How he did it, I'm not putting it on a pedestal in any way, shape, or form. It's either I'm glad he's dead, or I can't believe you people are so rude to be glad that he's dead. It's vile out there when it comes to the death of Rush Limbaugh. I mean, I never thought people would have such passionate opinions about it. Maybe that's just my own stupid fault. I mean, I get it. If you liked him, you liked him. If you didn't like him, you hated him. I get that, but I never imagined that it would be such a hot button issue. And I mean, a lot of people are saying, Donald Trump wouldn't be the president if Rush Limbaugh didn't do the things that he did. That I actually could buy into some of that. I think Rush Limbaugh was such a huge mouthpiece for Donald Trump that it probably aided, if not put him over.
Well, he kept that side of the base fired up.
Yeah.
I mean, he started doing this way back in the 90s. And back then, the way I interpreted it was he really became so popular because that was the only outlet people had.
Sure.
Now you've got podcasts and YouTube and all these, Twitter and Instagram and not so much Facebook anymore, but, the information or the focus is being really spread out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he was the first one to really, have that bully pulpit, so to speak, and he made way good use of it. But he just, I don't know why you're kind of surprised at the passion that people show one way or the other. That's what he invoked.
No, you're right. I don't know why I'm surprised either, and I think it's probably because from the radio side of it, I think the story of success was an incredible story of success. Doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's moral. I'm not here to judge him morally or anything like that. I just think from the rate of success that someone had putting together a radio show. But you're right. I mean, in the 90s, he was the fuel. I mean, he was the accelerant for the things that continued to happen politically, especially, on the far right side for a long time. I mean, all the people that subscribe to what he was selling are calling him a patriot and all the things that, for whatever reason, now the term patriot is derogatory, which I hate, because I think being patriotic is a good thing, but now it has become a word that is associated with something that nobody wants to revisit on January 6th. And I hate that. Patriotic was nice. Used to be nice. Patriotic was the flag in your front yard and understanding the meaning of the 4th of July. Now it means something to me, just vastly different. But yeah, I don't know. You're right. I shouldn't be surprised about it. I shouldn't. And last night, man, my favorite comment last night that I saw that people writing in one of the radio groups I was in, someone didn't know that he was actually on radio. They just assumed he was a podcaster because they're like 22.
Yeah.
They're like, he was on the radio? Yes, he was on the radio.
There still are things called radio.
Yeah, seriously. I'll be listening to the radio until I die. 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. We're going to take a break. We can revisit any of those topics if you want to talk about it. If not, we'll move on. But open phone lines today, and we will get to some of the biggest headlines of the afternoon, including we may end up revisiting this Ted Cruz thing because that story is still developing. It doesn't look from any means that he has decided to fly back from Cancun either. So if he does, we'll let you know. This is The Watchdog.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
New Belgium Fat Tire Amber Ale is now available in West Virginia and distributed locally by wine and beverage merchants. With its toasty and biscuit-like malt flavors blended perfectly with hoppy freshness, it's bound to become one of your new favorite craft beers. Fat Tire Amber Ale is now available at local retailers. Please don't drink and drive and drink responsibly. From your friends at Wine and Beverage Merchants.
Now's a great time to go Toyota for reliability, value, and style. And RAV4 is the #1 selling SUV in America over the last year, with available all-wheel drive in gas or hybrid models. Now, get up to $1,000 cash back from Toyota through March 1st. For more offers, shop Toyota's official website for deals. Buyatoyota.com. Then see your Toyota dealer. Go Toyota, and let's go places.
The Storm Tracker 7 team is here to warn you when winter weather will affect your day.
And as we go through the overnight after our coating of snow, we'll wake up tomorrow morning with a few snow flurries.
We are also here to help you make the most of the season. Is it a good day to build a snowman? Should you take the kids sledding? Check out our app before you head out the door.
We're going to bottom out to temperatures in the upper 20s.
With meteorologists Dr. Dave Walker, Zach Petty, and me, Aaron Myler, we've got weather coverage you can count on. 7 News, working for
Does
you.
this current crisis leave you wondering how to pay your bills? Well, a lot of people are struggling right now. I'm attorney Tom McIntyre. Call me today to schedule your telephone or video conference meeting, and I will send you a copy of my new book about bankruptcy, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Call 877-456-4155. Together, we will figure out what to do now and what to do when this is over. We will get through this together.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
It's a great time to update your appliances now during Menards Race to Savings Sale. Spruce up your kitchen or laundry room with appliances from top brands including Whirlpool, Amana, KitchenAid, Maytag, and Criterion. Check out the largest in-stock selection to take home today at the lowest prices. Upgrade to new energy-efficient appliances and save big money now during Menards Race to Savings Sale. Prices are good through February 20th.
Save big money at Menards.
This is Wheeling Fire Chief Larry Helms, reminding everyone about the seriousness of this COVID-19 in our region during these colder weather months. This virus is spreading rapidly and could put a strain on our hospitals and emergency services. I am asking everyone to please wear a mask. It's important to make sure your mask covers your nose and your mouth at all times. Wearing a mask is one of the only defensive tactics we have to slow this virus down. Remember, wear a mask, stay apart, and wash your hands.
CA House Music has all the gear to make your music legendary. With all the best gear including Fender, Epiphone, Yamaha, and more, CA House will have you rocking in no time. Get the most for your money with everyday low prices. And we meet or beat internet pricing. Play before you buy and let our product specialists help you pick out the instrument that's right for you. CA House Music, supporting local musicians since 1872. Play music for life.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News. I'm Jeff Jenkins. A sigh of relief from Appalachian Power crews working to restore service to more than 60,000 customers from ice storms that took place the last 2 weeks. Company spokesman Phil Moy says they caught a break with today's snowstorm.
That snow could have been heavy and wet, could have stuck to the ice that's already on trees, but it was a drier snow and it didn't. So fortunately, we didn't see a lot of new outages from it.
Appalachian Power hopes to post service restoration times for the first time with this storm by the end of the day. Governor Jim Justice has added Mason and Jackson counties to the state of emergency he entered earlier this week for Cabell, Wayne, Putnam, and Lincoln counties. Colonel Wally Hatfield is helping lead West Virginia National Guard efforts.
As the chainsaw teams go in and start cutting the trees, you can cut them up in larger sections and use that skid steer to pick up that tree and move it out of the way, allowing the power company to go in and start trying to restore power.
More at WVMetroNews.com. A bill's on its way to the state Senate that would allow for education savings accounts in West Virginia. Tax money set aside for public education to be used for homeschooling or private education. It passed the House today. Fayette County Delegate Tom Fass says the bill is about school choice.
This is not a diversion from public education. It gives education choice to the taxpayers for use of their taxpayer dollars.
You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. Toyota of West Virginia announcing today it's going to add 100 jobs to its plant in Putnam County and also spend more than $1 million on new equipment there. They say the popularity of Toyota's RAV4 means that they'll make 70,000 new engines a year for the RAV4 at the Buffalo plant. There are many counties the National Weather Service has now taken off of a winter storm warning and made it a winter weather advisory as the threat of heavy snowfall is gone. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Jeff Jenkins.
It's not red. It's not blue. It's just real. Real Big Talk with Big Rick continues now on The Watchdog.
A man walks down the street, he says, why am I soft in the middle now? Why am I soft in the middle? The rest of my life is so hard. I need a photo opportunity. I want a shot at redemption. Don't want to end up a cartoon in a cartoon graveyard. Bone digger, dogs in the moonlight. Far away, my well-lit door. Mr. Beer Melly, get these mutts away from me, you know. I don't find this stuff amusing anymore. If you'll be my bodyguard, I can be your long-lost pal. I can call you Betty, and Betty, when you call me, you can call me Al.
Welcome back to Real Big Talk. I'm Al, that's Betty. I didn't understand this video when I was a kid, although I love the song. And I don't know that I understand the video now, but it's just Chevy Chase and Paul Simon sitting in a basically empty room with a couple of different instruments, bongo drums, as I remember being involved. I think Chevy Chase ends up playing the bongos. I don't know that I understood it, but my God, I still love that song. You put that on, I don't care where I am. I wanted to sit here and sing the whole thing.
The whole Graceland album.
Oh, the Graceland.
It takes me right to Florida. You know, that's, yeah.
Yeah, Paul Simon. I was lucky enough to see Paul Simon a couple times by myself, by himself, and I actually saw the Simon and Garfunkel reunion. I took my mom, and again, the songs were probably over my head. I think Paul Simon's such a genius. The songs were probably over my head, but still, you put that Graceland album on, you are not in a bad place if you are listening to that. Welcome back. We're not actually Al and Betty. I'm Rick. That's Lola. And wanted to thank my buddy Kyle for sending this to me. He was listening to the show. And I thought this was interesting information. I don't want to necessarily go spend a ton of time more talking about Ted Cruz. But this was interesting. Beto O'Rourke, as you all recall, Beto even wanted to... What's that? Beto. Yeah. Wanted to run for president. Yeah. You know, just kind of doing Beto things. Said last night, we made over 151,000 calls to senior citizens in Texas. One of our volunteers talked to a man stranded at home without power in Kaleen. Kaleen also has a big base at it, a big army base, I'm pretty sure. Hadn't eaten in 2 days, got him a ride to a warming center and a hot meal. Help us reach out to more people and join us tomorrow. So he's not even involved in politics anymore, I don't believe.
Well, he still has his eye on his prize somewhere, but yeah.
Ted Cruz is in Cancun.
He's calling his dog walker to make sure the dogs are all right.
Well, this was really what I wanted to mention that Kyle sent me, because Dan had brought this up and asked, how did he find an airport with electricity? This is according to Scott McFarland. Houston police spokesman tells NBC that Senator Ted Cruz's staff contacted the Houston Police Department on Wednesday afternoon to assist the senator in his arrival and movements through the Houston International Airport. So he actually used emergency personnel, emergency services to get himself to the airport and through it, while emergency services could have been serving the people of Houston. Yeah. Wow.
But the sad thing, nobody will care.
I know.
Nobody cares.
I know. I can't get over that. I can't get over the response I'm seeing. People are like, you'd leave too. Not a senator. Not an anybody. He used the Houston Police Department to get the hell out of town. While the Houston police could have been helping people who are hungry and can't find shelter or heat. Mind-blowing. Busy day, by the way, 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. Boy, you want to think about our local police forces today. They are very, very busy, especially here in Wheeling. A lot of you may have heard stories over at our news partner, WTRF.com. But already today, the police have removed a male body from the Ohio River down underneath, I think it was down underneath the suspension bridge, was it not?
By Wheeling Inn.
Yeah, so it's they were busy doing that about 9:45 this morning. So keep our officers in mind, as they've already had a very trying day. Plus, it's still quite snowy down along that road for them to get to that access. So the opportunity to keep a good thought for the police officers is there. And then this story is just breaking it in the last hour. Zachary Sadler, 36 years old, was wanted for 2 shootings in Washington County last month, has been found dead at a relative's home here in Wheeling. How he died is unclear, according to police, but the relative who lives there is not cooperating with investigators. Police in Wheeling called officers from Washington as they've been working together in both the search and investigation. So really a very heavy day for our local Wheeling police officers. So however you keep people in your thoughts or your prayers or whatever you want to say, do that. Busy day here in Wheeling for sure. I live in Washington County, PA, and I remember, that was just a couple weeks ago, I think, or in the last, I guess, 8 weeks or so, those murders took place. It's hard to believe that someone could function in such a small area and never get caught. I mean, who knows if he left town or what, but ultimately met his demise here in Wheeling. I wouldn't want to be a cop for anything right now. I appreciate so much. But, I don't even want to get out of bed. I was sitting on the couch in the office getting ready to do the show today, yawning. I got to work at 11 o'clock. I can't even imagine what it's like to be out there right now doing those things. What it's like to be a nurse or a doctor right now. I'm weak. I am. I am absolutely such a weak adult. These people are doing stuff that I can't even imagine, working shifts that in my day, don't worry. I know what it's like to put in a full day's work and then some on top of that. I've done things that have taken 18, 12, 20 hours in a day, but not too often. The cops and the emergency personnel, and it's just made so much harder by the cold weather and the snow and ice. It looks like we just heard in the Metro News that it looks like we're going to dodge a big bullet with the snow. We're not going to get it quite as much as they said that we were going to get it, but just everything is just so amplified by how difficult the snow and ice make it. I was looking at the forecast. I know this is stupid. I know this is real stupid. You're going to laugh at me. But next Saturday, the 28th, it's supposed to be in the 40s, and the sun could shine. I was thinking about playing golf. That's how weak I am. All I want to do is play golf. Meanwhile, people are doing real tough, difficult things for a living. I'm sitting here talking, thinking about playing golf. 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. Speaking of that, as the stories continue to come out of Texas, I saw this on CNN.com, and I was trying to think about the best way to describe what's happening because, again, we've all had disasters we've lived through, been through, and seen, whether they be in our own state or in other places. But you really don't get a grasp of how bad things are until you go there. I mean, we'll never really truly understand how bad Hurricane Katrina was. We can see the pictures and the images and the video and hear the people talk about it, but we weren't there. We'll never be able to grasp how bad that was. And really, we're not going to be able to do that with Texas either. But one family has resorted to burning their toddlers' toys for firewood. They're burning their own things just to stay warm. Hopefully, no one will ever know what that's like. Hopefully, no one will ever know what that's like. I mean, you got kids sitting there, you're trying to keep warm, and you're throwing their toys in the fire to keep it going.
You do what you got to do. You know, I mean, it's you do what you got to do.
That's what I mean. I've never been anywhere close to a situation like that. And so many of us aren't, thankfully.
You know, I saw in the news one guy trying to heat his home, and he had like a pretty open floor plan. It looked like, you know, his living room and dining room were big open space between them, and I'm sure the kitchen then was off to that. But he was boiling pots of water because the steam would feel warmer than just having the oven on. You know, but people have even brought their gas grills, which not a good idea, but brought their gas grills in the house to try and warm the house up.
Yeah.
But like I said, not a good idea. But, you know, you do whatever you can. I was thinking yesterday, just, you know, how your mind wanders about things like that. And I'm thinking, how could you start a fire in that would not catch your ceiling on fire? You know, now in my house, that might work because I have such high ceilings. But, you know, I just think, could you bring in one of those backyard fire pit things that, you know, a lot of people have? You know, it's funny where your mind goes.
Yeah, I mean, when people do things that out of desperation, your mind will go places that your rational mind would never go. I mean, desperation breeds that kind of thinking. And yeah, you should not bring a gas grill in your house. But I would imagine when you have no other choices and you know that it's a heat source, you're willing to take the gamble. I saw this morning, a friend of mine posted to Facebook the inside of somebody's apartment in Houston. There are, I mean, when pipes burst, and I think all of us at this point in our lives have seen pipes burst, or at least the effect of when pipes burst. The pipes burst in this building, and what happens when they burst above you? The water trickles down into your apartment. There were icicles, not just like little icicles, but huge icicles that were formed on this ceiling fan because the water just cascaded down and then it started to freeze, just like any icicle you'd see outside, you know, right now. Houston is one of the hottest places I've ever been. It's so hard to even just imagine that Houston could be cold enough to create icicles, let alone in somebody's apartment.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Houston and I almost melted. Again, I'm weak, but it was 90-some degrees, and I was like, this might be the end for me. I can't even imagine what that's like. I mean, if it gets to be 100 around here, which it has occasionally, you know, we're all complaining, we're all melting, but it lasts for like a day or two, and then there's relief.
Yeah.
And it happens so infrequently, it is an oddity. Well, this is an oddity as well, but it's not lasting a day. It's not like, oh, Houston or Texas had a deep freeze for a day. It's lasted going on, 5 days now? 6 days. And there's really it is going to get warmer. I think it's supposed to be 50 there, maybe tomorrow or Saturday.
I think Sunday it's going to be up to 60.
Yeah, so I mean, the at least part of the melting process will begin, but then, of course, with all, the snow that they got, you might have to worry about flooding issues, too, which Houston definitely does not want to hear about. They've had enough flooding to last the rest of their
Well,
lives.
just think all that frozen water in houses and apartments that is frozen now from the pipes bursting is going to start.
Yeah.
The only thing, this is, thinking after the fact, but I suppose should I ever be in that position where your power goes out and they're saying it's going to be days and it's going to be zero weather, go turn your water off.
Yeah.
Because that way you can be assured the pipes aren't going to bust.
One of the first pieces of advice I got when I bought a house was find out where your main water shutoffs are, not the ones underneath your sink. Find out where
the main shutoff.
Find out where your mains are, because if you need that will create a lot of opportunity to save a lot of your problems.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's absolutely true. 500,000 people are still out of power in Texas right now.
With no end in sight.
Yeah, which is way down from the 3 million outages that were reported earlier today. So the situation is getting better for some, but they're also facing the idea that there's no refrigeration right now because there's no power. Texas has a lot of people. And that's the thing, and even whether you could include Pennsylvania, you could include Ohio, and it's a little closer to the numbers in Texas, but in West Virginia, we can't even imagine that many people in one place. There's 1.8 million people in West Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 9 million people in Houston. So we can't imagine what that's like. And I think for the most part, Texas has a lot of opportunities for people to go grow food or raise cattle and things like that. In West Virginia, if something is out in your town, the next town over you can go. Yeah. And there's probably enough for you in that town until your town is replenished. It's not like that in Texas. It's not like that. There's 9 million people trying to go to one Piggly Wiggly that's open. And they're running out of food. I just, again, I maybe that my mind doesn't think about how difficult and how different living in a big city is. I mean, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and really, Pittsburgh's not a big city. It's a large city, but it's not Houston. It's not Dallas. It's not like that. It's not like that. I've never had to use my own possessions to burn to keep things hot or warm enough that I don't die. It really is a serious thing. And they're still in it. Nearly 7 million Texans were under a boil water notice through this morning. Well, if you don't have any gas and you don't have any heat, how are you supposed to boil the water? How are you supposed to boil the water? I have a couple of good friends in Texas, one of which is a radio guy who has been spending 18, 20 hours a day at his radio station trying to keep the information going. And I guess the one thing you can take away from this, that is, if there is a good thing, is a lot of wonderful stories about people helping other people come out of it. It does make you have, at least, especially right now when we need it, the slightest hope for humanity when you read some of these stories. A lot of he's posting that different breweries. I mean, he's a beer guy. Loves to go out and drink fine beer. If that is that a thing? I'm not a beer guy. It's not that I don't like beer. I just can't drink it. So, but I mean, if you go out and you go to different breweries and things like that, and you like to really taste what they do, that's what he does. And a lot of the breweries and friends that he has that own breweries are offering their water to people for free.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you the other day, the closest thing I've ever had to live through any of this was the derecho from, was that 2010, I guess?
Yeah, I think.
And the derecho in 2010, I had to go to Lowe's every morning and get 2 bags of ice from the emergency services And I think they gave us 6 bottles of water, something like that. They had to ration it out. And my mom was staying with me and needed insulin. She used insulin, so I had to keep it cool. It had to stay in the refrigerator, which didn't work. So I had no choice but to go get ice. That lasted, I think, 6 days. And I got to tell you, it was a terrible 6 days. But it was also at a time where it wasn't going to freeze because we didn't have heat. It happened in the summer. I think it was in July, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, I mean, that's all really that I could compare this to, but it's not even close. It's not even close. But seeing the stories about people helping other people does give you at least a hope for humanity, for all the things that you can say about where we are right now in the world and how people are acting towards one another. At least the chance to see something good, something helpful, something useful does exist. And always, if you want to help, I have always stressed this to people because, there are people out there willing to throw $10 into the how do I help. Give it to the Red Cross.
Yeah.
The Red Cross is the way. The Red Cross will be there until the end, till the last person gets, whatever the help it is that they would need. So if you want to donate, you can give to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is easy to find to donate. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with more of your phone calls. This is The Watchdog.
It's FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC News, I'm Alex Stone at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, in Pasadena, California. There is excitement and tension here on this campus right now. We're less than an hour away from the latest Mars rover called Perseverance touching down on the red planet. Perseverance was designed and built here at JPL. Scientists here say it's got a lot to do looking for signs of life on Mars. Scientist Nina Lanza.
We're trying to prepare for a future human mission to Mars. So, of course, we're going to assess the current environmental conditions.
But first, it has to land safely. That is not a sure thing. In about 45 minutes, the rover will hit the top of the Martian atmosphere, traveling at over 12,000 miles an hour. It'll have to deal with 2,300-degree heat in 7 minutes of terror. Will it survive that descent? Then the chutes will open, and NASA says this is what it will sound like. We'll actually get to hear the real thing because there are 2 microphones on board that eventually will send back audio files. Perseverance even has a small helicopter on board that it will launch in the coming weeks. I'm Alex Stone at JPL in Pasadena as Perseverance nears entry into Mars. Now with more news, here's Michelle Franzen.
In Texas, hundreds of thousands of customers still without power this hour. Cold, snow, and ice keeping its grip in the south and also the northeast. And the White House says it is responding.
The White House says the extreme weather across a large swath of the U.S. right now shows that climate change is real and happening right now. Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood-Randall.
We're not adequately prepared for it. And in particular, power grids across our country, particularly in Texas, are overloaded by the demands that are placed on them under these circumstances.
Sherwood-Randall said infrastructure in some parts of the country is not built to withstand these extreme conditions. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
On Wall Street, markets trading lower, heading into the final hour of trading for the day. You're listening to ABC News.
Hello, friend Pat Boone here. Silver is creating lots of excitement. You know why? Because the price of silver is extremely attractive compared to gold. So, I call my friends at Swiss America to get the scoop on whether this silver opportunity is for real. What I discovered blew my mind. For example, today silver faces a huge shortage due to rising demand by solar, electric, military, and computers. It's all covered in a new silver report from Swiss America, which explains why silver prices cannot stay at this level for very long. And get this report explains how to use the historic gold to silver ratio strategy to grow your holdings, even if precious metal prices stay put. Call 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. Get a free copy of the silver report now. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646.
Workers at a CVS near Boston are apologizing that after an error left some people without a full dose of the Moderna vaccine. Carol Kennedy Hurley was told that the pharmacist on duty had previously been administering the Pfizer vaccine and got mixed up.
I think it's really important that the people that are doing the vaccinations are really cognizant of the fact that if they don't do it correctly, people are going to assume they're okay and they're not.
CVS says the smaller dose should be sufficient. They say affected patients don't need to come back until it's time for their second shot. New questions about Serena Williams' future.
After Serena Williams lost her Australian Open semifinal match, she stayed on court longer than usual and put her hand on her heart, acknowledging the crowd. Asked after the match if that could be a farewell, the soon-to-be 40-year-old said,
"I don't know. If I ever say farewell, I wouldn't tell anyone, so."
And moments later, when asked about how she played in her loss, Williams suddenly grew emotional.
I don't know. I'm done.
Naomi Osaka, who beat Williams, will face another American, Jennifer Brady, in Saturday's final. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Scientists have evidence that mammoths roamed the earth more than 1 million years ago, long before giving rise to the woolly mammoth. They found teeth in Siberia, leading to what appears to be the oldest DNA ever sequenced, the oldest 1.6 million years old. This is ABC News.
When's the last time you looked at your bathroom? Second thought, you might not want to make eye contact with that old faucet. It's time to head to Lowe's for some home improvement. Choose from stylish brands like American Standard, Delta, and Style Selections, and transform your before bathroom into an amazing after bathroom. Woohoo! You can't see her, but she's high-fiving herself. Don't just do it yourself. Do it for yourself. Stop by Lowe's or visit lowes.com/DIFY for vanities starting at $99. Valid through 3/31 U.S. only.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Frio Stack & Associates Auctioneers, Realtors, Certified Appraisers specializing in antiques, business liquidations, multi-parcel land auctions. Frio Stack & Associates is a regional business offering the executor, attorney, agent, and other individuals the most comprehensive and technologically advanced auction and appraisal services available. For information on our service, call our office at 304-233-3168 or email frioauc@aol.com. Frio Stack & Associates sells the earth and everything.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Hey, I'm going to the kitchen. Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Huh. I never knew there was a zip line in my fridge. Hey! Hey, buddy! You got 2 Coors Lights up there? You got it!
Always brewed down to 34 degrees. With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go, 2 Coors Lights.
Awesome, man. Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Sure, I mean, you being a mountain climber and all.
Yep.
You probably need a pretty warm coat in there, huh?
Yep.
Hey, Ben!
Yeah!
Ask him if he has any nachos.
You got any nachos in there?
No.
Just icy cold Coors Light?
Yep.
That makes sense. It is the Rockies.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for you Thursday. Mostly cloudy with snow showers on and off through the day. An afternoon high near 33. Snow showers continue through the evening and the overnight with a low near 26. Few flurries around for your Friday, otherwise cloudy with temperatures in the lower 30s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors. Keeping it real for the right, keeping it real for the left. 100% Real Talk is right here. Real Big Talk continues now on The Watchdog. Here's Big Rick.
Used to say, live and let live. You know you did, you know you did, you know you did. But if this ever-changing world in which we live in makes you give in and cry, say live and let die.
Welcome back to Real Big Talk. It's about 10 after 3, and you cool with talking about your big news?
Yeah.
I was very excited for you. I know you were too. Lola has received her first vaccination shot. Yeah. So this morning was your appointment was this morning, and as soon as I got here, I asked you about it, and you had nothing but good things to say.
I'm telling you, I got it up at Michael's at the Highlands, the old Michael's building, up at the Highlands. A half hour exactly from the time I walked in the door until I walked out. They're running it like a well-oiled machine. You go in, you get registered, they give you a couple, it's 2 papers. One is just basic medical questions. The other is more, personal information, your address and all that kind of stuff. And you fill those out. The minute you get those done, they send you over to a couple nurses that are, putting the shots in your arm, and then you have to wait for 15 minutes, to make sure you don't have an adverse reaction. There's doctors stationed all around, so that in case somebody would have a bad reaction, they're right there. EMS is there. And there were people I knew from the health department were there too, so it was really cool. I got to catch up with them a little bit too, but it was fine. And that needle is so fine. She said, now you might feel a little pinch. I didn't feel anything. I mean, it just in, out, and there's nothing to it, absolutely nothing to it. And as soon as you get there, they give you your little card that says you've been, had your first dose like today, and they automatically set you up with your next appointment. Mine will be in 3 weeks. And just go back in 3 weeks at the same time and get my second dose. And then I think they're saying it'll be a couple, 3 weeks at least, before it really takes hold. But I'm just so excited. I'm just so thankful I was able to get in and get it.
Yeah, no, I was, when you told me yesterday it was coming, I was so happy for you. And it's nice to know that it's running smoothly. It doesn't happen that way everywhere. I'll go to Pennsylvania, people would tell you a much different story. I did want to ask you though, because you're not the first person I know that had it, but you're obviously we talk almost every day. Mm-hmm. And so you would be the person to ask since this experience is so fresh in your mind. What was there a storage unit there? Like, did it come out of a freezer? Like how?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so it's not there. Like, it wasn't like, oh, there's a big freezer that's on site that's holding the doses.
Well, it might, because this is a Michael's store.
It's a big
so
store.
They had, storage back in the back for their stock, and I'm sure that's probably where it.
Yeah, because in my mind, it's when like the DeLorean needed 1.21 gigawatts, and then they made it plutonium. They used plutonium, and it has to slide in, and the plutonium slides in, and then the steam comes up. In my mind, just because they've talked so greatly about how it is stored, I just wonder. I mean, once they take it out of storage, it has to be used within a couple of hours, I believe.
I think both of them are different, a little bit different. But I got the Pfizer, so, I don't know anything about it. All I know is it better work. You know, that's all. I'm just thrilled that I was able to get it. Now we're waiting kind of on my sister, but, you know, I expect her to get a phone call probably beginning of next week, you know, for her to get hers.
Yeah, I hope that she does. I
do too.
With the joy of knowing that you were getting yours, I called my doctor's office today to see if where I was on the list. You know, and look, that's annoying. I get it. The people that are working in doctor's offices right now, and the office that I now go to, has its own essentially COVID unit. You know, they're people dedicated to answer the phone and answer your questions about vaccination and whatever. And they said, and now this is in Washington County, Pennsylvania. They said the waiting list is months long. Months. Now, I've been on it pretty much all this month.
Yeah.
All this month. I think my appointment may have been February 1st or something like that. So from the time I went to the doctor to when I got on the list. So I've been on it for easily 2 weeks. I've been on it easily 2 weeks, if not longer. I feel like it was in January.
I think it's been longer.
Yeah, so, you know, and when I called, I said, I just wondered not when I was going to get the shot, because I know that they can't answer that, but just where I was on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I have no idea.
The list is months. The list is months. I mean, and look, I'm not the only person that's having this issue, so I don't want to make it like, oh, well, I need to step in front of other people. But I want to go to a wedding at the end of March, and I was really hoping, and who knows, maybe it'll still happen. I don't want to give up the faith that it will. But I want to go to this wedding in March, and I know I take it more seriously than a lot of people do. And I would feel comfortable. I mean, I'd still wear a mask. You're supposed to still wear a mask when you go out. Yeah. But I would feel more comfortable attending this wedding at the end of March if I knew I was vaccinated. And there's just no way to know if and when that'll happen. Pennsylvania is doing it so poorly that yesterday, this was so we talked about this yesterday, and I did get some clarification on it. I don't know if Bill brought it up or not, because I know that he has experience with the Observer Reporter, which is the Washington County newspaper. But we talked yesterday about how the headline was 200,000 vaccines in Pennsylvania are given as first doses that were earmarked for the second dose. Well, it turns out it was actually 100,000, not 200,000, so 200,000 total people were affected by it. But this morning on the Observer Reporter, in fact, I have it in my office, Bill handed it to me, they actually went ahead and put a picture of a Washington Health System's employee getting her dose, implying that it was Washington Health System that gave away 100,000 doses. They are not happy with the Observer Reporter this morning.
Well, Bill walked in, and we were talking about it. And he said, oh, yeah, Washington County did this. And I said, no, it was statewide, Oh, okay. I didn't know where he'd gotten it, where he'd gotten the information from. But in Ohio now, they're starting to do, Rite Aid is giving shots. They also have, clinics set up. I just wonder if, because you work here, if you couldn't somehow get on a list in Ohio.
Yeah.
Because they're moving it in Ohio. I don't think they're doing as good a job as West Virginia is, but they are, and they're getting it into drugstores, which is important. You might want to see if you can't get on a list in St. Clairsville, that the Kroger there, the Kroger in Belair.
At this point, I'd drive to Columbus if I had to. I would. My friend and I have talked about this. He is also very anxious to get the vaccine. We have a lot of similar health conditions that we both know about. And if we were talking about this because he has some friends that live in State College, Pennsylvania. When Penn State is not there really aren't a lot of people. It's a lot like Morgantown. I mean, if there's no students, there's really not a lot of people. And he said that he may have a friend up there who knows of a pharmacy in advance that you can get on the list, I'll drive. I'm willing to make that 3-hour drive twice.
That's a nice little road trip.
Yeah, go through Altoona and see the Altoona Curve, which is the big railroad, and of course the Altoona Curve is a minor league baseball team. But then again, so are the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're also a minor league baseball team.
Yeah.
Anytime I can take that shot, I will. I'll take that shot at them. But yeah, I mean, I would. At this point, I would drive as far as I had to. We talked about this, I think it was last week, the story that we read about people having to drive more than 10 miles from their house for a vaccine. I guess I just assumed that everybody would. 10 miles to me to drive away from my house is nothing.
You're not even at work yet.
Well, no, I not even close. So yeah, but I thought that story was interesting. It was basically, bashing the vaccine distribution, saying, people shouldn't have to drive more than 10 miles from their house. I have to drive more than 10 miles from my house. If I want Raisin Bran, I got to drive at least 6 it's like, what is the issue with driving those extra miles? And I think at this point, I would drive any miles. I would drive any miles. And
and you would not have a problem getting the time off here.
No.
All you have to say is, I'm going wherever.
Yeah.
And getting a shot, and it would be.
No, it's great. It's great to work for super supportive people. Hey, get well, man. Be well. Because at the end of the day, if something does happen to me and I get coronavirus, I can't come to work for at least 2 weeks. Yeah. It doesn't behoove your employer, any employer, our employer or any other, to not let you go get your shot, because down the road, if you get coronavirus, you're out 14 days at a minimum.
Yep.
So it's shocking to me that people have employers that won't give them the time off. I mean, we've talked a lot about employers that are actually offering to pay people to take their time to go get it. Mm-hmm. Each employer is giving you 2 hours. I know Target's doing it. McDonald's is doing it. Not everybody is forcing their employees to take it, although that has been an issue. There's a nursing home in Washington County that there's a big face-off between the management and the staff, because it's a nursing home, and the management wants everybody to get the vaccine so they don't spread it to any more residents and bring it into the facility. And a lot of people don't want to. My mom's nurse, my mom's favorite nurse, won't get it. She absolutely will not take it.
What is her reasoning?
Well,
that's what I don't understand. What is their concern, I should say? What is their concern about it?
Getting a straight answer to that question from my mom would be impossible.
Oh, that's right. You can't get in there to talk to the nurse either. So.
Yeah, and so I don't see her because I can't go in and ask. But this is a lot. 1 in 3. I just read this earlier. 1 in 3, 1/3 of military members have opted out of the shot. 1/3 of military members have opted out. So here it is. You can get vaccinated. No, thank you. I don't know.
I know people that are, in the healthcare profession that have said, no, I choose to wait. But there was a story this morning on the news about a medical center in, I think, Sacramento. And 90-some% of the employees got vaccinated. 100% of the emergency room people got vaccinated. They went from a lot of cases, a couple months ago, to 10.
Yeah.
Because herd immunity will work.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning about herd immunity, and he works for a drug company. So I would imagine that he, he's an educated guy when it comes to a lot of medical things anyway. In fact, talk about someone who could easily be a doctor. It's my buddy Dan. But he chose the route of selling drugs, and he does very well with it. He's an educated guy. He hears all this stuff. He gets all these updates. In fact, he sent me articles and things like that. And we were talking about it. At one point, Fauci said once 100 million people are vaccinated, we would be getting close to herd immunity. So I was wondering this morning, how many people in the United States have already been vaccinated? The number is 56 million. 56 million. Which honestly, I didn't think the number was that high. I guess just because the state I live in is so blunderous at doing it that I didn't have any idea. And when I look at the West Virginia numbers, and they're going up steadily every day of the number of people that are fully vaccinated. But really, when you see around the 300,000 mark in West Virginia, you think to yourself, that's really good because there's 1.8 million people in West Virginia, and none of which all will be either eligible at this time or necessary. Some of them are kids, so we don't necessarily know when it'll be time for kids to get it. But you see nearly 300,000 people in West Virginia, you're like, this is a great start. We're off to a great start. If you saw 300,000 people in Pennsylvania, you'd go, what are they doing? That's a disaster because there's so many more people.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, 100 million people to me is not going to set life back in motion. I mean, and now it sounds like it's going to take even longer and up until midsummer for the vaccine to be available to anybody who wants to take it. I mean, every state is still in this phase one, whether it's phase one, group A, however the states are classifying it, because they're all different. Because why would we do anything uniform as a nation to figure out how to get rid of a pandemic? I mean, how stupid of me to think that would be a thing that people would do. But yeah, I'm shocked by the number of people that are just, if someone says, I think I'll wait, I can understand that. They're not against it, but it is new. It is new. And even though we've been talking about it for forever, a year, we've been talking about when can we get a vaccine for this? And now that we have it, and some people won't take it. And the idea of waiting on taking it, and by the way, if you want to get in on this, have you taken it? Would you take it? Are you refusing to take it? 304-214-1600. 304-214-1600 is the phone number. I can understand the idea of waiting. If you don't have any medical issues and you want to see how other people that you know react to it in the, I don't want to say long term, because you're not, if you're going to wait long term, you're probably not going to take it. You'll just go, well, everybody else took it, and now there's herd immunity, and it won't be that bad if I get it. I mean, to each his own. But waiting a little while, all right, I can see. I mean, because there's some people that are saying now they're just going to wait and to see what they do with these variants. Are they going to change the formula a little bit? Or are they going to add to it? And that's part of it. But I personally, I don't want to wait. I would go today. And you're right. I mean, at this point, if I had to drive to Columbus or somewhere in Ohio to go get it, off to the races. We are mentioning, too, that a lot of people are having a hard time, especially in PA, getting the second dose. Now we're going to see more of those problems with the winter storm delays. A lot of people are at their 21 or 28-day mark where they were supposed to have appointments to get their second dose. They're saying don't worry about that. According to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the second dose of vaccine can be administered up to 42 days or 6 weeks after the initial. So if you do have an appointment or you know somebody that does who is waiting for the second dose and they're over their time, don't worry. I'm sure they will get in within 42 days. But it lasts that long, and that's good to know. I wondered that myself. Obviously, the snow has played a big part. Really here we dodged a lot of it. But it's certainly in other places in the country that haven't. What will they do if they can't get that to them? That's a big part of the problem. All these UPS, FedEx, Amazon, all their hubs are in like the mid part of the country that storm after storm after storm is hitting. They can't get the stuff out of their hubs, and that's been quite the problem. Yeah, and you said you got Pfizer, correct? Yeah. Pfizer coronavirus vaccine protects against UK and South African variants, studies show. Yes. This is according to the U.S. News and World Report in the New England Journal of Medicine. So that makes me feel better. Researchers at Pfizer and the University of Texas Medical Branch genetically engineered versions of COVID-19 to carry some of the mutations found in the variants discovered in South Africa and tested them against blood samples taken from 15 people who had received both doses. and the virus vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech. While the blood samples produced fewer neutralizing bodies, it was still adequate enough to neutralize the strain of COVID-19, the institutions wrote in their letter to the journal. So I'm glad you got the Pfizer. It sounds like the Pfizer one, for at least every one of these variants that they know about and what they are doing and how they are mutating, that will work.
Good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you ended up with the Pfizer. Johnson & Johnson apparently is pretty close to getting theirs sent through as well. They said it could be as early as next week.
Well, and that should open up a whole lot
because it's one
it's
shot.
A single dose, and it doesn't have to be. It just has to be refrigerated. It doesn't have to be frozen or any of that. So it'll be easily moved around, and people won't. There won't be this having to come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would think that'll open up an awful lot of more clinics or drugstores, places like that can do the shots.
I just wonder why it's taking so long. I'm not a doctor. I don't sit on the Drug Council of America. I'm not Dr. Fauci. All I know is other places are already using it.
I know, and this is just me with the AstraZeneca. It wasn't made here. It wasn't developed here. It was developed across the pond. And so the CDC looked at it and went, well, it can't be that good. Even though they've used it for all of Great Britain. And, but that's just my, my snobbiness coming out, I guess,
No, well, it's legit. I mean, I think that's part of it. If it wasn't made in America, that's going to take longer to scrutinize. And I get it. I don't want to just jam anything into my body. So I'm thankful that there are educated people that look at this and go, well, let's test it and make sure it's fine. But you'd think that would be something that you hot-footed. You know what? We're going to work overtime until we can discover if Johnson & Johnson has a worthy vaccine here. But it's like, we'll take it day by day. It's under consideration, and we'll get back to you. Why the hell is that a thing that's not... Let's work day and night until we know that it works. Oh, wait, they use it in other places and it works just fine. But let's just give it a minute. I don't get it.
I don't either. I've been saying that since day one because I thought all of them should have been rolled out like a week between.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, if they're willing to put it in arms in Great Britain, I would imagine that... I feel pretty confident that Britain looks out for its citizens at least as well as the United States does.
Well, they're using it all over Europe and Africa, so please.
Yeah, I know.
Please.
I know. Save one for me. I'll take it. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to more topics, more phone calls, and we'll also get into some sports, some sad news in the ECHL today. We'll pass it along on the Watchdog.
Technology can be challenging for business leaders, but Omni Strategic Technologies enables your business to perform without limits. They're the only IT company the Watchdog trusts. Omni offers IT managed services, cybersecurity and advisory solutions, backup and disaster recovery, and can handle all your hardware needs. If your business is faced with any technology challenges, the answer is simple. Call Omni Strategic Technologies at 304-242-7600. Or visit them at www.omniperforms.com.
My little girl hurt her foot and needed a doctor fast, but her physician wasn't available, and I wanted her seen as soon as possible. Then I remembered the Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care, right in downtown Wheeling at the Stone Center on Market Plaza. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, the center is ideal if you have a sudden sickness or injury. The doctors and nurses were great, and they also provided x-rays, a pharmacy, and lab draw station. No appointments needed, and convenient parking is nearby. Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care. They'll take good care of you.
Are you struggling to make payments due to an unexpected financial obligation or loss of income? Are you receiving calls from debt collectors? Are you feeling overwhelmed and unsure of what steps to take next? Then you need the experience and expertise of attorney Tom McIntyre and his staff to help guide you through these temporary hardships. Want to hear more about how Tom can help? Then call 877-456-4155 and receive a free copy of Tom's ebook, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Tom's ebook covers many questions people have about bankruptcy and includes interesting stories about people who tried to avoid filing and people who have filed for bankruptcy. We think you'll be surprised to learn some interesting facts about bankruptcy. Call 877-456-4155.
My little girl hurt her foot and needed a doctor fast, but her physician wasn't available, and I wanted her seen as soon as possible. Then I remembered the Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care, right in downtown Wheeling at the Stone Center on Market Plaza. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, the center is ideal if you have a sudden sickness or injury. The doctors and nurses were great, and they also provided x-rays, a pharmacy, and lab draw station. No appointments needed, and convenient parking is nearby. Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care. They'll take good care
Quaker
of you.
Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
I'm not buying till I checked on Ford. Most of us are faced with uncertainty every day. Your job, your finances, sporting events, schooling for your children, and so much more. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, there is one auto dealership that you can be certain about, and that's Doan Ford. You can be certain that you always get a great deal and the best service afterwards. Being in business for over 50 years has given Doan Ford the reputation of being a strong, reliable dealership. Be certain. Choose Doan Ford. Online at doanford.com. I'm not buying till I check Doan Ford. For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
The Big 12 basketball schedule continues to be a moving target, but the Mountaineers are scheduled to play on Saturday in Texas. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger.
Did you know that 1 in 8 Americans struggle with hunger? Yet more than 40% of the food we produce is thrown out. At Kroger, we know we can do something about this. We're donating more food to local food banks through our partnership with Feeding America. And we're working with World Wildlife Fund to end food waste. But we can't do it alone, and we hope you'll join us in creating a world with zero hunger and zero waste. Visit thekrogerco.com to learn how you can help.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on backyard favorites like grill-ready hamburgers and fresh-picked strawberries? Then shop at Kroger. We give you more ways to save on the fresh you love with tools like the Kroger app, where you can find personalized coupons on top of weekly sales, plus rewards like fuel points, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
With fingers crossed, the Mountaineer basketball team will fly to Austin, Texas tomorrow. It will be the first stop in a 3-game, 6-day trip, which features contests against the Longhorns on Saturday, TCU on Tuesday, and then at Baylor a week from today. All of that is based on what we know today. Schedule changes have become the norm over the last few weeks. In fact, tonight's game between Oklahoma and Texas in Norman was called off yesterday, along with this evening's matchup between TCU and Texas Tech that had already been moved once. West Virginia had tried to get a game tonight here in Morgantown against Oklahoma State, but the Cowboys were unable to get a flight. As you probably know, weather and power outages have dealt a major blow in the heart of Big 12 country this week. When and if WVU will make up games against the Cowboys, TCU, and Baylor scheduled for the Coliseum is unknown. Now, if the Mountaineers do play Texas Saturday, and we assume they will, here's an update on the Longhorns since the last time Mountaineer fans saw them run off the Coliseum floor with a last-second win. Coach Shaka Smart's team ranked number 12 nationally, now 13-5 and 7-4 in the Big 12. They are tied with West Virginia in the league standings, 3 games back from first place Baylor. Since its game at the Coliseum, Texas is 3-4. So far this season at home, they've got victories over Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas State, and TCU. They have lost at home to Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Baylor. Guard-dominated team. The top 3 scorers on the Texas team are all guards. Tip-off Saturday is set for 3 p.m., and we invite you to join us. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
News, talk, sports, and rock is all right here, right now. Back to Real Big Talk with Big Rick on the Watchdog.
Welcome back. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. It's Real Big Talk. Couple of quick notes to pass along. Say hi to my buddy Tim. He's listening. Said he got his first dose yesterday. When the opportunity presented itself, he was able to jump on it. I'm glad to hear it, Tim. No side effects whatsoever. Lola's not experiencing any either with their first doses. I'm glad to hear it, Tim. Look forward to seeing you. And also, this was another thing mentioned by a friend of mine listening to the show today, who his military career was lengthy and certainly did things that I can't even imagine. When we were talking about the idea of 1 in 3 military members refusing the vaccine, he said, I'm furious about that. He didn't get to opt out of the anthrax vaccine because it was mandatory. Possible side effects of that, by the way, were paralysis and death. So, I mean, that is an interesting thing. Thanks, pal. That's an interesting thing. Being forced to get a vaccine when you are in the military isn't a shocking thing.
No.
I mean, the military tells you, you jump. They say jump. You do it how high? Sir, I am surprised that it's optional.
I am too.
I am very surprised that it's optional. And I mean, again, I don't have any military service. Some of my nearest and dearest do, but I don't have any. So I have no idea. I mean, with my own life, I've made my own decisions, whether they be good or bad decisions about my health. They were all mine. Nobody told me I had to do anything. I mean, there have been plenty of suggestions, and most of which I try to take. But yeah, I'm really shocked by that. It's a bigger deal, I think, than anybody who's not been in the military is making it. And that's a good point. I wasn't able to opt out of this malaria one. Why should I be able to opt out? How can they opt out of this? Now, obviously, I've talked long enough and passionately enough about how I feel like getting the vaccine is super important and why some people aren't getting it. Perhaps some people don't look at this as anything more than, I run the risk of getting sick anytime I go out and do anything. Well, that's true. I mean, you do. People, how many colds have you had? How many times have you caught the flu? I mean, yes, it is something that a lot of people are surviving. We'll say it that way. A lot of people are surviving it. But really, it's not about you necessarily. If you decide that I'm going to go without this vaccine and I'm going to push forward in my life, and if I get it, I'll get sick and I'll get well again, and you're not worried about it, that's fine. I mean, that's a you decision, and I can't tell you that you're wrong. It's just, it's really who you pass it to. If you feel like you're strong enough that if you got it, you'd be fine. And I know plenty of friends who've got it. My goodness, my mom got it and she's alive. And I can't tell you how shocking that is. It's wonderful that she is, but I can't tell you when I initially found that out, I thought, this is it. This is it. Congestive heart failure, a slew of problems. My God, I took my mom to the doctor the other day, and the nursing home sends her with papers with a little picture of her on it, and it lists like all her medications, because a lot of these people don't have families that can attend a doctor's appointment with them. So they basically have to send a chart with their picture in it so the doctor's office knows they're working on the right person. And so I had it there, and I had it in my hands, and I read it, and I couldn't believe the amount of things that my mom has. And I'm thinking, how did you survive this? So yeah, I can see why some people go, I'm going to go out on a ledge and say, I don't want to take this, and if I get it, I'll be fine, and it's on me. But how people that work in nursing homes are able to avoid it, I don't know. I mean, I know that that's going to create an even bigger issue down the road.
Oh, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. And yet, with other vaccines, your kids cannot go to school. You have to have your children vaccinated before they can go to public school.
Is that still true?
Yes.
Because so what do anti-vaxxers do? Do they just homeschool?
Homeschool or find I don't know about private schools, if maybe they can slide on those, but yeah, homeschool.
Yeah, I can't.
But yeah, to get your kid into a public school, they have to be vaccinated.
Yeah, that is something.
So why are adults being excused from this?
I don't know. I can't figure that out. I mean, again, I don't have enough life experience outside of just doing whatever it is that I thought was best for me. And honestly, I've had surgery for cancer and things like that. I've been to the doctor quite a bit in my life. Both of the doctors that I have were immediately like, when it's your turn,
take it.
Take it.
Yeah.
Like no hesitation. No hesitation. But really, it's not like I sit there and discuss with them, well, doctor, are you taking it? I would think if you were a doctor and you had to see so many sick people as it was, you would probably do it. But like I said, in my mom's nursing home, so many people, and my mom's favorite nurse said, no, I'm not doing that.
I haven't traveled. Canada is my international travel. But do they still require, you say you're going to go to Asia. Do they still require you to get shots before you go? I know they used to. You used to have to get shots before you went.
Yeah, you used to. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I mean, the last time I did international traveling, I had to show that I had
shots.
So I had my shots. Yeah, I mean, and even, they even sometimes portray that in movies. It's like, So yeah, I would bet it's still probably likely it is a thing that you need to do to travel. I think it's going to be required. With your little card that you got, Lola, what did they tell you to do with it? I mean, obviously bring it back so you can show that it's been filled out completely.
Don't lose it.
Don't lose it.
It's just, that's... Now, I have said this in the past. They didn't say anything about connecting it to a driver's license. I know there's been talk about you could get it connected to your driver's license or your passport, which I would do both.
Yeah.
But nothing was said about that. And they're just having a hard time getting it into people's arms, let alone trying to collect enough data and get it, coordinated with state drivers, DMVs and the federal government's passport thing. Maybe it'll come up that when you renew your driver's license, just like the last time we renewed, we had to get the little star to show we were federally registered, that they could then include that in it. But I would gladly, people want to say, oh, I want my privacy. You got a phone?
Yeah.
You got an iPad? You don't have any privacy.
I'm so over that argument. Look, I don't... If you want to go down the guns path, I don't want anybody taking anybody's guns. But really, is your privacy noted by a star on your license, noting that you've been vaccinated? Is that really an intrusion of your life?
I know it.
If you want to drive, you have to go get a license. Is that an intrusion in your life? Well, hey, I can fit behind the wheel and my feet hit the pedals. I don't need to have the state tell me if I can drive. I can drive. No, you go get your license. Who complained about that? Is that I just don't understand how people get to the point where they can make that argument. I don't get it. Put it on my license. Give me a QR, SQR, or whatever code on my phone so someone can scan it and go, okay, the guy got vaccinated in February of 2021. Fine. I don't care. I have better things to worry about.
All right. You want to travel?
Well, I can't imagine what it's like right now.
These are just, and I'm thinking these are just your standard ones, depending on where you want to go. You know, if you're going to Asia, hepatitis A, B, typhoid, and parathyroid fever, meningitis, yellow fever, rabies, and Japanese encephalitis.
I've never even heard of some of that stuff.
Well, I know. But that's, you know.
Do they mix a lot of that into one shot?
I would hope so. Otherwise, you're going to look like a pincushion.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I don't know enough about medicine to know.
The following vaccinations are recommended for travel in Africa: measles, mumps, rubella, polio, tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, hepatitis A, and typhoid. Well, that's aside from the typhoid. Those are mostly the ones that are required for you to go to school.
Yeah.
So,
going to Africa sounds amazing, even when there's not a pandemic. It's like, wow, this is probably incredible. It also, when you need all of those things to go there, it sounds terrifying. Like, what are you going to walk into a bar and catch typhoid? Like, what is that?
Don't drink the water.
No. I went to Russia, and that was the don't drink the water, and they were right. They were right. I mean, I know plenty of people that go to Mexico, and they're like, yeah, don't drink the water.
Don't eat ice that's made down there either.
No, in Russia, it was cheaper to buy a cheap bottle of vodka and brush your teeth with it than it was to buy water, bottled water, to drink and rinse your mouth out.
Well, see, vodka kills all the germs.
Yeah.
So what the heck?
And hell,
you were killing two birds with one stone on that one.
Now, three, really. I was 17 and I could drink. I mean, it was like I was killing three birds with one stone. It's like I'm going to buy this big bottle of vodka, brush my teeth with it, rinse out, and also drink. Because nobody seems to be stopping me as a 17-year-old kid. And that's what I did. 304-214-1600. 304-214-1600. What will life be post-pandemic? And when will that be? That's really the question. I think if you could just fast forward to the end of the pandemic, you just want to know how much longer you have to live through it. How much longer are we in this thing? This was interesting, and I think it's way too advantageous of a thought. But JP Morgan thinks that the pandemic could be essentially over by the end of April. Now, JP Morgan has a lot more money than you have. Maybe they have a lot better idea of what's going on than you do. Certainly than I do. I know that. I'm willing to admit that. But yeah, I thought that was absolutely crazy. I mean, JP Morgan is a pretty big deal. And I mean, it is a strong decline in cases. There's no doubt about that. And certainly quite the decline in deaths, thankfully. That's not just West Virginia, that's nationwide. It is subsiding. I don't want to say it's dying down because that would imply that it's coming to an end. It's not. But it is getting better. They're saying while the data set is still small, statistical analysis of current vaccination data is consistent with a strong decline of the pandemic within 40 to 70 days. And this was the story that was just released at the beginning of this week. If somebody said 40 to 70 days, Lola, in 40 to 70 days, you can go back to go visit your brother, you can go travel, you can do all the things that you like to do in 40 to 70 days. I would honestly sit in my house for 40 to 70 days, just let it end and go back and enjoy my life again.
Yeah.
I think this is a little too advantageous of it, although, you think about it, 70 days from now is...
That's 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah,
it's 2 months from now. It's the middle of February. Mm-hmm. If you're telling me by May 1st that this could be over, I don't believe you. And I wonder how many of us are just so beat into the mindset of this thing that feels like it's just never going to end. that maybe that's the problem. Maybe seeing the light at the end of the tunnel is just so difficult because it feels like there's no actual light at the end of the tunnel.
I think they're going under the assumption, too, that vaccinations are going to continue to increase, which for every person that gets vaccinated, the number, you're reducing the opportunity for it to spread. So, if more people get vaccinated, then the virus has nowhere to go.
That's what I mean, but these numbers we're seeing of people that are refusing to take the vaccine definitely do not support the idea that we'll reach this, 40 to 70 days to when we can go back to real life. I mean, that's really the concern, and I'm not clamoring for people to absolutely have to be mandated to go get vaccinated. I'm just saying that if 1 out of 3 military members are not taking it, we've seen, I heard a statistic, and I don't want to repeat it because I heard it secondhand, but just take for Wheeling Hospital, for example, I heard the number was fairly low of people that actually accepted the vaccination when they were able to get it. If that, if we're looking at sub 50% numbers in some places, and again, I heard the number secondhand, so I'm not going to say what it was. That to me says it's not going to end in 70 days. I mean, choosing to not get it and going, well, if I get sick, I pay the price. Is that enough to get the world kickstarted again? I don't know.
Well, I think people are under the misconception, because I certainly was, that if you've had it, then you have the antibodies and you're golden. And that is not the case. The antibodies that you get from just having it are only good for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So, I think some people are under the impression that, well, I had it back in August, or I had it back in November. So I'm good. And that really, it's not the case.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. That's what they told my mom. You probably can't get it again for another 3 to 4 months, but she would be vaccinated. Now she is. But yeah, that's the problem. And people are feeling that way. Who would want to get it again? Although one of my very good friends had it, and all he had was an earache. He had a sinus thing going on, and inside of his face hurt, and he came back COVID positive. He had some sinus issues and coughed a little bit, and that was really about it. He works from home. He didn't have to even miss a day of work.
I know, and then we also know other people that have died.
I know.
So,
I know a guy that passed away at 42. 42. I mean, he's a year younger than me. And so, yeah, you get to that point where it's just like, I don't know how these people are determining how this goes. And then you have crazy Bill Gates. And there's no argument that Bill Gates is a genius. Nobody's arguing the man is a genius. But why is he chiming in on medical procedures? He's well, we're probably going to have to get a 3rd shot. Which, of course, when Bill Gates opened his mouth, and already people don't believe in the vaccine, of course, they instantly go back to, oh, well, he's just trying to put a microchip in you. It's the other piece of the microchip.
As tiny as that needle was today, there is absolutely no way there was any nanoprobes in there.
I know. I mean, it's just so. But again, you have to actually get to the needle to go, there's no way there's a microchip in here. But people still think it.
I know
it. I can't believe the number of people that are willing to die on that. The vaccine has a microchip in it hill. I just don't get it. And it gets overly processed when a guy like Bill Gates, who is a computer guy, gets involved in talking about vaccines. If he wants to give money to places that are working on developing better vaccines and better ways and booster shots, I'm all for it. He has the money. He'll be fine. But when he comes out and talks about it openly, people associate him with microchips.
Yeah.
And that's really where that comes from. And it flares back up every time he says something about it. Flares right back up. I'm not taking my medical advice from Bill Gates. I'm just not. If you want to put C. Everett Koop out there, I'll probably take his medical advice. Just not Bill Gates. Not Bill Gates. And that's the problem. That's leading to more of that mistrust. Oh, well, Bill Gates said it, so he's obviously trying to microchip me. And did you say, I know this is going to sound stupid, but did you see this, the videos on the internet that are circulating of people like cutting open masks and saying, well, look, that people are trying to get you to wear a mask because there's a microchip in there, or
What?
Yeah, RFIC, I think, is that what it is? Like code reader or whatever. I mean, people are, but people buy it. That's the thing, they buy it. They're like, oh yeah, I'm never wearing another mask. Look at that. There was a microchip in that mask. Why?
Again, if you have a phone in your pocket, nobody needs a microchip on you. You've got one already.
I know. They just don't seem to get it. You're already chipped, people. You're already chipped. Not only are you chipped, you pay handsomely every month to be chipped.
Yep.
That's what you don't get. That's the part that you don't get. You pay handsomely to be. We had a caller yesterday was talking about his Verizon bill. He had to pay $3 extra to pay in cash.
I know.
You paid $3 extra to carry your microchip. They didn't have to jab it in your arm. They didn't have to force it on your face in a mask. You paid for it.
Yep. Glad.
Yes.
Glad.
Thank you, Verizon. I'm so glad that my information is being sold to the highest bidder so they can go ahead and offer me things I buy already.
I know.
Ridiculous. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with some sports and some sad news from the world of the ECHL. It's all next on the Watchdog.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Happening just now, the Mars rover Perseverance landed successfully on the red planet. ABC's Alex Stone is with NASA researchers in Pasadena, California, who are celebrating.
The cheers inside Mission Control here at JPL. Touchdown has been confirmed on the surface of Mars. This is a very big moment here at JPL. So many years of work. Perseverance safely on the surface. 7 months of travel, descending through 2,300 degrees of heat. It was called the 7 minutes of terror. It has done it. Now on the ground, by tonight, we could begin seeing new images from Mars. It also has microphones on board. It's recording the sounds of Mars. We'll be able to hear those soon. A lot of relief and cheers here at JPL right now.
Texas still reeling from this week's cold blast that overwhelmed the power system and left millions without power and usable water. Senator Ted Cruz also being criticized for leaving the state during the crisis.
A Twitter user captured the image at Houston's Bush Intercontinental Airport. A middle-aged man in a dark long-sleeved shirt and nondescript cloth mask pulling a large carry-on bag. He might have gone unnoticed were it not for the police officers serving as bodyguards. It was Ted Cruz departing Texas on a flight to Cancun with his wife and daughters. Social media has exploded with criticism. The senator's office has issued a statement saying Cruz wanted to be a good dad and escorted his family to Mexico before returning this afternoon. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Democrats introducing their immigration reform plan.
It was a landmark Zoom session earlier today. Democrats introducing the U.S. Citizenship Act, a nod to President Biden's plan to provide legal status to over 11 million undocumented people. But Democrats realize that the bill as is will be a hard sell to Republicans. Senator Bob Menendez.
There are some in Congress, I'll say from both parties, who argue against going big on immigration reform.
You're listening to ABC News.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
My sweet cheeks feeling squeaky clean when Charmin's rolling behind the scenes. Charmin TP gives me those cheeky clean feels. That ultra strong hype is all for reals. Those TP rolls got me a Charmin clean took-es. Cheek to cheek feeling oh so shook-es.
Charmin Ultra Strong just cleans better. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Panera's new flatbread pizzas are here. But to our new chef, Klaus, they're not just pizzas, they're masterpieces. Because it's not just cheese, it's hot and melty mozzarella and fontina cheese. It's not just sauce, it's market tomato red bell pepper sauce. And it's not just toppings, it's fresh mozzarella, basil, and grape tomatoes. Taste our delicious new flatbread pizzas today. Order online for pickup or delivery. Panera. Restrictions apply.
As job losses mount, another 861,000 Americans filing for jobless benefits just last week, consumer sentiment is on the rise.
As COVID case numbers, hospitalizations, and deaths fall sharply, economic pessimism has softened. Bloomberg's Consumer Comfort Index, which measures Americans' expectations for the economy, has just reached the best level since the pandemic began. 30% of Americans say the economy is getting better, up 11 points in 2 months, while 33% say it's getting worse, down 12 points since January, and the rest say the economy is staying the same. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
A second night in the hospital for Britain's Prince Philip, just months before his 100th birthday. ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is in London.
The panel is telling us that the 99-year-old had been unwell for a short period of time and was admitted to the hospital as a, quote, precautionary measure. They're also saying that he walked in unaided, that he'd been taken there by car and not by ambulance.
Opera singers being recruited to help some COVID patients, a 6-week program developed by the English National Opera and London Hospital, offering customized lessons to help in patient recovery. The exercises are specifically designed to help those with lingering symptoms, including breathlessness. The head of the National Opera's outreach program says since opera is rooted in breath, the expertise of opera singers could be helpful. This is ABC News.
When's the last time you looked at your bathroom? Second thought, you might not want to make eye contact with that old faucet. It's time to head to Lowe's for some home improvement. Choose from stylish brands like American Standard, Delta, and Style Selections, and transform your before bathroom into an amazing after bathroom. Woohoo! You can't see her, but she's high-fiving herself. Don't just do it yourself. Do it for yourself. Stop by Lowe's or visit lowes.com/DIFY for vanities starting at $99. Valid through 3/31 U.S. only.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Now's a great time to go Toyota for reliability, value, and style. And RAV4 is the #1 selling SUV in America over the last year, with available all-wheel drive in gas or hybrid models. Now, get up to $1,000 cash back from Toyota through March 1st. For more offers, shop Toyota's official website for deals. Buyatoyota.com. Then see your Toyota dealer. Go Toyota, and let's go places.
The Storm Tracker 7 team is here to warn you when winter weather will affect your day. And as we go through the overnight after our coating of snow, we'll wake up tomorrow morning with a few snow flurries. We are also here to help you make the most of the season. Is it a good day to build a snowman? Should you take the kids sledding? Check out our app before you head out the door.
We're going to bottom out to temperatures in the upper 20s.
With meteorologists Dr. Dave Walker, Zach Petty, and me, Aaron Myler, we've got weather coverage you can count on. 7 News, working.
Add a stylish look to your bathroom and save big money during Menards Race to Savings Sale. Max has more than 1,000 bathtubs, shower kits, and shower doors to add luxury to your life. U-Tile showers give you the realistic look and feel of tile and installs in half the time. Right now, the Halo shower is $1,879.99. Save big money now during Menards Race to Savings Sale. Prices are good through February 20th.
Save big money at Menards.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
This is Wheeling Fire Chief Larry Helms reminding everyone about the seriousness of this COVID-19 in our region during these colder weather months. This virus is spreading rapidly and could put a strain on our hospitals and emergency services. I am asking everyone to please wear a mask. It's important to make sure your mask covers your nose and your mouth at all times. Wearing a mask is one of the only defensive tactics we have to slow this virus down. Remember, wear a mask, stay apart, and wash your hands.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for you Thursday. Mostly cloudy with snow showers on and off through the day. An afternoon high near 33. Snow showers continue through the evening and the overnight with a low near 26. Few flurries around for your Friday, otherwise cloudy with temperatures in the lower 30s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
He can talk up and down Route 2 and Route 7 at the same time. Just ask him. Keeping it real for your ride home. It's Real Big Talk with Big Rick on The Watchdog.
Knack. Take the knack. My Sharona. This is the Watchdog. I'm Big Rick. That's Lola. And we landed on Mars.
Yes. I am so excited. I really am.
I had a feeling that you would be. And I was about to take the approach of this stuff is kind of wasted on me. Like, not because I don't think it's incredible, because I do. But I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. Seriously, I'm just not, I don't know how to comprehend what I'm seeing or how we even got there. I mean, granted, I'm not a NASA space physicist or anything like that, and I am watching. If you have interest in this stuff at all, and it really is quite interesting, CNN.com updates like every couple of minutes, like everything that it's doing. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. This is the first image Perseverance sent from Mars. You can see exactly what it is. And I will say this, it looks like potholes on Main Street in downtown Wheeling. And that's what I mean. It's wasted on me because I'm like, oh my God, space dirt. That's incredible. No, to me, it honestly looks like the potholes on Main Street. But I know that it's Mars, and that part is truly fascinating. It is truly fascinating. And I was scrolling through my social feeds. You know, I have friends that picked up their kids from school and brought them right home and got them snacks to sit in front of the TV and watch this. That's great. That's great. I think science is incredible. I'm just not smart enough to understand it. The fact that they named it Perseverance is my favorite part.
And it has its own Twitter handle.
Now, of course.
I'm safe on Mars. Perseverance will get you anywhere.
Yes, it does. It has its own Twitter handle. That's unbelievable. You know, and trust me, what it would really be fun to know is if it knows how to tweet itself, or that's just somebody fooling us on the Earth. I'm sure that it's...
don't burst bubbles. Jeez.
I'm not trying to. I think it's fascinating, but like I said, when they're showing the first images, and I'm just like, if I put a camera on the front of my Jeep and just drove down Main Street, it would look a lot the same.
Well, you know, it had to make the decision, and it could by itself, to find the best spot to land in. And there's two other things up there, a Chinese one and I think a Saudi Arabian one or something. It's some country in the Middle East. So yeah, they could have had parking problems there for a bit.
Yes, they certainly could have. You know, my favorite part about watching this, and I don't have the sound up obviously, is watching the people that are responsible for getting it there celebrate. How many movies have we seen about outer space, whether it be Armageddon or Apollo 13, whatever it is, and we see this crazy control room. It's got knobs and buttons and screens and all that kind of stuff. That's actually what it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that really, I mean, it's not that I've never seen this, but But could you imagine right now that is your life? That is what you wrapped up so much of your life doing, whatever your contribution is, whether you're the designer or the aerospace engineer, you're the one that made the feet, whatever it is. Like you're in this little room, you're like, you just sent your baby to Mars. And watching them celebrate is kind of uplifting. Again, the true historical science and meaning of it to me is kind of lost. To me, it's a lot like the royal family. I don't care what's going on Mars, just like I don't care about the royal family in England. But I think it's cool. I just don't know what to make of it. The fact that they called what it had to go through the 7 minutes of terror.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great name for a quick haunted house. Oh, come to this weekend, 7 minutes of terror. You know, but what it has to go through to get there.
Yeah, it's 7 minutes. It's completely out of touch.
Yeah, it's like, was that Armageddon where they went to the other side of where they were supposed to be, so they had no contact with mission control. And that's what that's kind of what I was going to say. And I know this probably sounds like a stupid point to make. Like, how historically accurate are these big budget Hollywood films compared to what we actually see with something that's legitimately on Mars? It's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what it shows us are actually pretty darn close.
I just wish it were in color.
Lola. Now, really?
Yes.
You are mad that the
No, I'm not.
I could imagine.
Because I say it's a red planet. Well,
Doesn't look red. And I can't wait till later to read the internet and find out how it's made in a big Hollywood studio. And this isn't really.
You know what? My grandmother believed that about the moon landing.
Sure, a lot of people's grandmothers believe that about the moon landing. There are people that still do.
I know. It's like, remember that movie, Wag the Dog?
Yes, I remember the title. I don't know that I ever saw it.
It was, the government needed a war to make a lot of money and to unite the country. So they go to Hollywood and they make a war on a soundstage so that all your nightly clips on the news were all produced on a soundstage, but everybody thought it was a real war. Hence, Wag the Dog.
Yeah.
The tail's moving.
There are people that absolutely believe that. There are people that absolutely believe that the moon landing was made on a soundstage. I mean, if you think about it as a logical, rational person, it'd be a hell of a lot easier to make it on the moon landing on a soundstage than it would to actually go to the moon. But
yes,
I know. But I still going to go ahead and side with the fact that we landed there. But this whole thing is interesting. I hope. I realize that the difficulty right now of educating children is just uber hard with this pandemic. But I hope that schools really give kids a chance to get into this and look at it from a bunch of different perspectives, because it is really neat. It is really neat. And kids my age, we got one shot at learning about NASA, and it was the Challenger. And that did not end well. No. And I don't think ever again in my lifetime did we all gather around the TV through the rest of the course of the time that I was in school, whether it did not happen when I was really young, I was in grade school. But even as space exploration continued through my high school years, I don't think we ever watched any of it. I think it just sort of happened and you saw it maybe on the news when you came home from school or whatever, but it was never something like, I think schools shied away from going, well, that really backfired. We're not going to show that again. Who knows what will happen. But this obviously is just a little cart, but it's neat. Really, really very fascinating. And it's tweeting from Mars. They say that it's actually tweeting itself.
Scroll down.
Oh, did you read it?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it is neat. It's just
I think it's I was so excited this morning, well, all week, because they've been talking about it, getting closer and closer and closer. And as soon as, I don't know if you saw my face, but on the news break, it said, that it had landed and everything was good. And I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah, I think it's great that people get that excited about it. I think it's great that people get that excited about it. I think they should learn. And the technology that's used, and the idea of using Twitter, and yes, obviously, it is not tweeting itself from Mars, but the idea of making it a Twitter account will make kids get more involved with it. People will care more. I mean, because at the end of the day, NASA is spending a lot of money to make this happen. And really, I don't know what they hope to find. One of their things is it could bring back our first rock samples from Mars. Why?
Well,
why? Why do you care?
Because the thirst for knowledge
thirst for
above
knowledge
all.
is fine.
And they think that they're, like the place that they landed, they think that was a lake, which means when they core down, drill down and get a core, there could be fossils there showing that indeed there was some type of life form on Mars. And that lends itself to the huge question of what happened then
Yes.
that would have wiped out all life on all these planets until it got to the third rock from the sun, and we're well on our way to destroying this one. So,
You make a valid point. We're not taking very good care of this planet.
No, we are not. Not in the least. And don't even get me started.
No, get started. It's a radio
about
show.
People that say, well, why should I give up, this and that, and why should we go through all these? It's not for us. Again, it goes back to just like wearing a mask or getting a vaccination. It's not all about you.
No.
And if you have children or grandchildren, or you hope someday to have that, what are you going to leave them? Look at the insane weather, the absolutely insane weather, not just in this country, and it has been really bizarre the last few years, but around the world. They've had snow in sub-Saharan Africa. What is up with that? So, the polar caps are melting and the sea levels are rising because the ice is melting, and, fish and animals are migrating in weird directions and weird ways and at weird times of the year now. I mean, this is not just about you or us. It's about generations to come and what we're going to leave them.
Yeah, no,
barren land.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I wish I understood more of the scientific end of it to know what I'm looking at. I think oftentimes we get misled by movies and things like that we see, and we're like, okay, well, what is this? What is this? And now it's like this picture comes from this little Perseverance rover on Mars, and it really does just look like rocks. Just looks like
Main Street.
Yeah, it does. It looks like Main Street in Wheeling. Drive down Main Street in Wheeling. It looks just like the surface of Mars.
Speaking of potholes, I want to warn everybody. If you're going eastbound and you're going up over Wheeling Hill and coming down to get onto 70 eastbound, from town, there are 2 horrific potholes as you make that turn to get on the entrance ramp for I-70 eastbound. Just cluing you in.
There's some monsters out there. I mean, really, there are some monsters on Main Street. And when I'm coming down the hill past the Highlands, that is like, that really truly looks like the surface of Mars.
Yeah. There was a couple really bad ones.
Yeah. So I'd rather you not waste a tire, because if you hit one of those bad boys real hard, especially going, I think we're down to like 50 miles an hour or 45.
45.
Coming down the hill from the Highlands. If you hit one like that at 45, you're probably going to need a new rim and new tire.
You are.
So be careful with that kind of stuff. Or you can just stay home, watch Perseverance, and deal with it that way. Because that's really...
Well, you're just not going to let that go.
I just look. I do. I totally agree. I think it is fascinating. I think that it's interesting. I think it's cool for kids to learn and see. For me, I'm more fascinated by the ocean than I am with space. I always thought the ocean, like, I watch anything I can find on the ocean because I think the ocean is still so undiscovered. And I guess if gun to my head, what would you rather learn about space or the ocean? At least the oceans are on this planet.
Yeah.
So I'd like to learn more because there's things in the bottom of the ocean that we have no clue. We don't even know, I think, a tenth of maybe what is down there. And so to me, I would rather know what was here more so than Mars. I'm not knocking it. I think it is very cool. And you're right. When they dig to the surface and they could find a fossil or something like that and they dig to the core of it, that would tell a lot about what happens. And honestly, in the last 6 months, we have seen so many examples of what look like UFOs and things like that. Like, I have no doubt anymore that we're not alone in the world, in the universe.
Yeah.
Where are those other beings? Who knows? Where do they come from? They don't live on Mars. Martians are not living on Mars.
No, obviously not. Look at the place.
Exactly. Nobody would live there. Nobody wants to live there. So, but for me, the ocean is a lot more fascinating.
See, and I've always said that too. If I could write a check, big a check, I would rather have it spent on oceanic investigations.
Oh.
Because we don't even know. Yeah. Look at those creatures that live so far down in the depths where there's not an iota of light. You know, how have they survived? How have they developed and mutated to, and that's why, too, I'm worried about the environment, because what is all of this going to do to the undersea life?
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. That's where I would rather find my research in. You want to see how things have changed and how they're developing? Find out what's down there. Find out what's down there. I saw it was on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. If you've ever watched that on HBO. And occasionally I'll go and catch up on 3 or 4 at one time. And this was probably a month ago I watched it, so it's at least 2 months old. And he spends time with this guy who spends just massive amounts of money on his sea exploration. Like, he has his own sea pod, and now he's trying to sell it because he wants to do something different with it. But he's like, he is a pilot and has done all these things and has just gobs of money. And he goes down in his pod, and he took somebody with him, but he wanted to do it. He did it first by himself, which to me would be absolutely terrifying because you don't know if this pod works. Once it goes that deep, what if it can't get back up? That would be scary.
What if it just goes...
Yeah, I mean, what if it... Yeah, absolutely.
Collapses in on itself.
It could crush itself when it gets to the deepest. But even as far as he went down, because he's competing with some other guy for who goes the deepest in the ocean, neither one of them even came close to the deepest parts of the ocean, because there could be something down there that could swallow your pod whole. You just don't know.
There are places they have absolutely no idea how deep it actually goes.
Yeah.
The abyss. That's why I love Josh Gates, Expedition Unknown, and all those shows, because he does that kind of stuff. And it's just fascinating to watch the different things that he does underwater. I mean, he does above water too, but the underwater ones, not only the ecological effects of all of this, but there's so many, like Atlantis. Did it exist or did it not? Well, he has gone on quests looking for that. And there are some interesting things in the bottom of the ocean that, really do point to not being a natural phenomenon, that it looks man-made, certain angles and things. Those shows are just great. And
yeah, I could watch that stuff all day.
Do you watch him?
I've seen it. I don't watch it on a general basis.
He does Josh Gates tonight because they couldn't go anywhere for a year. He always starts it out with a cocktail that is geared to whatever the topic is for that night. Wow, he's made some really good.
I was going to say, what's better, the exploration or the cocktails?
Have a couple cocktails and the exploration gets even better.
I would bet. Then I think that's why people, we used to laugh at like, here's, what is Shark Week? Now Shark Week is like the most watched thing. People are fascinated by the ocean. They're fascinated by the water. And so, again, I'm not dogging the idea of the space exploration at all. I think it really is cool. It just, to me, I find the ocean more fascinating. I remember going to SeaWorld as a kid. My mom took us to me and my grandmother to SeaWorld. And like at that moment, I was like, I'm going to be a marine biologist. I wanted to do like instantly because I thought it was so cool. Now I don't know if I thought I was going to train killer whales. I don't know what I wanted to do with it. I just thought it was really neat. And so after coming back from that, I told my mom I wanted to take scuba diving classes, which she was kind enough to oblige to look into it. I've actually had 6 sets of tubes in my ears when I was a kid, and so they were like, "You can't do this." Like. Look, I'm not crying because I've not been limited by too many things in my life. I've done just about anything I wanted to do, which has been cool. But that was the one thing the doctor was like, you can't, your ears cannot take you becoming a scuba diver.
I tried to, because I wanted to, we were diving on wrecks, and I thought, oh, this salvage job is really cool. I got something wrong with my inner ear. And after a few dives, I'd start to walk.
So you really have legitimately done that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You start to walk and in the whole, you tip over because everything else is tipping over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to quit.
Yeah, I think that whole thing is fascinating. I always wanted to do it. And so, yeah, they had the scuba diving classes, I think at like Baldwin High School or Brentwood High School when I was a kid. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And it was expensive, but my mom was like, you know what, if it's something you really want to try and she was supportive about it. The doctor was like, yeah, dumb kid. Your ears are going to explode. You can't go down there. What are you doing? And that's how my scuba diving career began and ended. But I do encourage you, check this out. Whether you're a CNN fan or not.
I'm sure NASA's got their own website.
Yeah, I'm just saying you can, I'm sure NASA has, but to me, the NASA stuff would be over my head. I just found the CNN coverage of this whole thing to be really easily comprehensive for kids if you want to read it with your kids. The pictures are there. And it has a cool timeline so you can see up to the minute from 6 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago. I just thought they were doing a pretty nice job. So if you want to involve your kids with it and make it so even someone who has very limited knowledge about this type of thing like I found it to be, I would check it out there. And of course, just go big, go to NASA and go be a little scientist. I don't have that ability. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the day with sports and some interesting conversation. ECHL has some sad news, and I watched something last night that blew my mind that I want to tell you all about. That's next on The Watchdog.
In a hurry and need to see a doctor? The Woodsdale Health Center and Walk-In Clinic is located across from Little Caesars on National Road. Open 7 to 7 Monday through Friday. Patients can receive primary care, treatment of minor illnesses and injuries, wellness visits and physicals. There's also a lab draw station open from 8 to noon weekdays. A division of Wheeling Hospital, the Woodsdale Health Center is led by family physician Dr. Michael Wilson. Call 304-234-1971. They'll take good care of you.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
Now's a great time to go Toyota for reliability, value, and style. And RAV4 is the #1 selling SUV in America over the last year, with available all-wheel drive in gas or hybrid models. Now, get up to $1,000 cash back from Toyota through March 1st. For more offers, shop Toyota's official website for deals. Buyatoyota.com. Then see your Toyota dealer. Go Toyota, and let's go places.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
President Barack Obama, born in Honolulu, Hawaii, graduated from Columbia and Harvard University, served as a Chicago organizer, became the Senator of Illinois, and the 44th President of the United States, the first African American to do so. That ought to tell all of us, big dreams do come true. That's not just Black history, that's American history.
Hey man, what can I get you?
Yeah, can I have 2 Coors Lights?
You got it. Hey Mike! I need 2 Coors Lights!
Sure thing!
With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go.
Thanks, Mike. Doing a great job. All right, 2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Hey, they don't call it the world's most refreshing beer for nothing.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you really have the Rocky Mountains in your beer cooler?
You don't believe it? Check it out.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it myself sometimes. I mean, this cooler is only 3 feet wide.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Jeff Jenkins. There's a bill being discussed by the House of Delegates Health Committee this hour that would close state-run nursing homes in Preston, Marion, Mason, and Raleigh counties. Patient census are low at all 4 homes, and the buildings that house those homes are decades old. One of the state's largest nursing home providers, Stone Rise, has announced new visitation guidelines with COVID-19 numbers improving. CEO Larry Pack with those guidelines.
Patients will be allowed up to 2 visitors at a time. We have to schedule visits by appointment, and they'll be taking place at a designated location inside the skilled nursing center. And we also have to limit visitation to 30 minutes just so we can get everybody in and out.
There are 17 Stone Rise-owned homes across the state. They go when there's snow.
The season report from Whitegrass Ski Touring Center in Tucker County.
Well, we've been lucky. It's all about snow.
Owner Chip Chase says after several winters without much snow, they've been seeing it pretty consistently this year in Tucker County, bringing people outside for cross-country skiing and snowshoeing, activities with built-in social distancing and mask wearing.
We were sort of like masked people to begin with. Even without COVID, we all had masks on.
Chase has been in the cross-country skiing business for 40 years. This season, he says, has been the busiest by far for first-timers. I'm Shauna Johnson, WV, MetroNews.com.
Most of the state under a winter weather advisory this evening. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. Appalachian Power Company says it should be ready to give some time restoration predictions in connection with getting power back on in a handful of counties. impacted by that ice storm earlier this week. They'll give those restoration times for the first time in this evening's report. A man is in custody in Fayette County in connection with the shooting death. Doug Green arrested this morning after the death of Craig Anthony Cottle. Sheriff's deputies say that Green shot and killed Cottle. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Jeff Jenkins.
He's not your father's talk show host, but your dad can listen too. Real Talk is right here, right here. Real Big Talk with Big Rick is on the Watchdog.
Just got back today. Them wild-eyed boys that had been away haven't changed, had much to say. But man, I still think them cats are crazy. They were asking if you were around, how you was, where you could be found. I told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. The boys are back in town, boys are back in town.
Welcome back to Real Big Talk. I'm Big Rick. That's Thin Lizzy. Thin Lizzy should be on all the time. If I had my own channel, it would just be Thin Lizzy songs over and over again. Last night, I hate to admit this because it makes me sound like an uneducated buffoon. But no, I mean, I know who I am.
I didn't mean to laugh out.
You didn't have, I mean, look, we don't have to shy away from that. I hope, if nothing else, even if you think I am lousy at this job, I hope you think I'm honest. I mean, that's really what I hope that people take from this show, is I don't know everything. I know I don't do everything. And I know my limitations and faults. I am generally a jackass who does not go outside of my comfort zone very often. I know that. I'm cool with it. Not that I don't go out of my comfort zone, but I'm okay with who I am. I hope, if nothing else, you find this show purely honest. Just a guy and a lady talking about stuff like you would talk about with the people in your life. I hope I make you think sometimes, or maybe educate you on something you didn't know about, but I don't think I'm better than you. I don't. And I never will preach to be anything other than what I am. So when I go home at night, I watch a lot of sports, and if there aren't sports on I want to watch, I'll watch Seinfeld. I watch a lot of Seinfeld, The Simpsons. I'm not really going outside of my box too much for TV shows. And that's stupid, because I should. There's a lot of great stuff out there I miss, and I know that. But if I turn something on and I'm not immediately entertained by it, I turn it off. I mean, a lot of shows have like 5 minutes for me. Like, I want to love the show Better Call Saul because I loved Breaking Bad. And I can't watch it because the first 3 or 4 episodes do absolutely nothing for me. And he was my favorite character in the whole show. Like, it's a fault of mine. I can't, for whatever reason, push past something that I don't find entertaining right off the bat. But last night, you're always at a thirst for knowledge. You're well-rounded, so I'm sure you don't have that problem.
I liked Better Call Saul, but I tend to find things like that. I watch 2 seasons, and it seems like all these shows that come out that they're intending to be long-running things. The first 2 seasons are good. The 3rd season sucks. Then they fire the writers, and the 4th season gets better. But yeah, I don't watch American Dad or Simpsons or any of that kind of stuff. No, I don't watch that. I watch a lot of PBS. Too.
Yeah, you're that lady. I mean, and that's cool. I'm glad that you are. You make this show more educated. But last night I watched something that I normally would not have turned on.
What was it?
It was a 90-minute program on Hulu, and it was a show called In and of Itself. Have you heard of this?
No, but I don't have Hulu either.
Okay, I would imagine, I mean, I'm not advocating for anybody to go out and steal it, but I would find this show because I was entranced, I think is the best way to say it. And I don't want to give it away. I don't want it to be a spoiler because I really think people would dig watching this show. So
what's it about?
Okay. It's a one-man show that was an off-Broadway show. And it was directed, this show itself that's on Hulu, was directed by Frank Oz. So that shows you that this has credibility.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't like a Rick Deruba's performance at the Capitol Theater one afternoon. This is a show that had 522 days off Broadway, and like Bill Gates is in the audience of this show. It's a heavy hitting show that did really well off Broadway.
What's it about? And I'll tell you if I know about it.
Okay, it is a one man show.
Yeah.
He has several pictures behind him that tell the stories of his life. And I'll give this detail about it. He is a guy who was sitting in a bar in Spain. This is how it starts, and then I'm not going to give too many details. He was sitting in a bar in Spain, and someone he never met before, he was visiting a friend, but someone he never met before sat down at the table with him and his friend. And he tells him a story about who he is. Not the man that he didn't know, but the man tells him a story about himself and what he sees in him.
Well, that sounds interesting.
It's, again, not really up my alley, but I gave it an honest chance. And honestly, for the first 15 minutes, I sat there and went, what am I watching? Why am I watching this? But I couldn't turn it off. It grabbed me somewhere in my brain and held on and went, you may think this is dumb now, but really there's going to be a point to this when it's finished, so don't turn it off. And I mean, I watched it through my PlayStation, so I had my hand on my PlayStation remote going, just turn it off, but I couldn't do it. It grabbed me that much, but in a confusing way because I wanted to turn it off, I just wouldn't. And so this man tells him a story about who he sees in him, who he thinks he is. And then the story goes on from this guy describing his life and who he is and how he got where he is. And again, I don't want to give those details away because I found it so fascinating that I don't want to ruin it for anybody that would give it an honest chance. But the end is so mind-blowing. And I will give this one detail because it doesn't hurt the story because it was a story that was well out there before about this show before you actually watch it. He takes one audience member of this live show and he makes them leave before the end and take a giant book with them, like a giant journal. And he asks them to go, take it with them, and write down how they think the show ends. And then they are allowed to come back the next night and then sit through the show and find out how it ends. So it leads itself to everybody's imagination on how they think it'll end. And what a cool idea.
What's the name of it?
It is called In and of Itself. It's 90 minutes. I would suggest taking all 90 minutes straight through. I didn't take a break, even though, again, I wanted to turn it off, but my body and my brain would not allow me to do it. In and of Itself on Hulu. You can probably find it in other places, but it's definitely on Hulu. And what people would write in the book that the way they thought it ended, probably nobody got it right. But what a fascinating concept. And in the end, when they get to the end, you're shaking your head. You're just, how is this a thing? How is this even feasible? And it almost makes you feel like it has to be scripted, but it's not. I never thought I'd rave 10 minutes about something I don't even know why I watched. But it's that good. It's that good. It hits you. It hits you. I won't even lie about it. I actually dropped a tear during this movie. And it's not to make you sad. It's just emotionally gripping is the best way that I can put it. So if you're looking for something, so many of us are searching for things to watch. Take it from a guy that doesn't watch much. It really, really hit me. 304-214-1600 is your phone number. We've got about 15 minutes, actually about 10 minutes left in today's show. So let's get to some of the sports headlines before we head home. This is really sad. ECHL, we're so happy to have the Nailers here in town. Even though they're not having the greatest season, the fact that we can go to Nailers games and it exists is huge. And unfortunately, the Brampton Beast and their fans don't have that opportunity anymore. Today is a sad day as the team and a family we're announcing that we have folded. We want to thank every person who has cheered us on over the years. It turns out that after years of playing hockey games, interacting events, and skating laps post-game, we're really fans of you. That was the statement made by the Brampton Beast. So the ECHL, when it reshapes next season and hopefully a non-COVID season, it will be minus a team. And that makes me so thankful.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me so thankful that our team is here and that they're playing.
A Canadian team.
Yes.
Well, they can't get over here to play.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It essentially just shut them down. We're not going to see any of the major 4 sports leagues lose a team, but minor league teams are going to have a hard time. They're going to have a hard time. Just the team up the road, and the Washington Wild Things. That's going to be tough. I mean, they even tried to play a 4-team, a weird little 4-team season last year, and it was kind of neat. And you got into both games for like $10 or whatever it was. And I mean, they had like Brandon Phillips, the former Cincinnati Red, came in and played a couple of games, but they didn't even make it through the whole season. Governor Tom shut them down.
Yeah.
And that stinks because they were just trying to survive and give people something to do outside. We're going to see this. We're going to see it, and it happened right here, essentially, to a team that we would see in our own backyard. They're not coming back, so that stinks. Hopefully, maybe we can snag DJ tomorrow to talk about that a little bit. As it is going to be a weird reshaping of semi-professional sports. I don't want to say semi-pro, but of minor league sports when it does all come back. But the Brampton Beasts are gone. You won't see them again. The Nailers, they're not having the best season, but man, the fact that they're having a season is the best.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the best way to put it. The fact that season exists is really good news. Big on the sports front today, your biggest story would come from Philadelphia. The Carson Wentz deal is done. Carson Wentz will now go to Indianapolis for a 2nd and 3rd round draft pick. I honestly think had Indy waited long enough, they would have cut Carson Wentz. I really do. I don't think, and they thought they were going to get a Stafford-type deal for Carson Wentz. They didn't even get close to a Stafford-type deal for Carson Wentz. For Carson Wentz, it's a good thing because he's out of Philadelphia and they stink. Bad thing for Indianapolis is they got Carson Wentz and he stinks. Oh, sorry, Lola. I didn't realize you were drinking before I said that.
Oh, right through my nose.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry. First a COVID shot and then a drink through the nose. But yeah, I mean, he's not good. He's not good. And maybe he'll have a whole rebirth because I thought they had all the pieces last year with Phillip Rivers, who, of course, played 1 year and retired. More tread left on the Carson Wentz tires. Maybe he has a rebirth there. I don't know. But right now, I can tell you this. He's not good. He wasn't really even good enough to start in Philadelphia. So they are really taking a flyer on him. A 2nd and 3rd round draft pick, to me, seems spot on.
Well, the thing is, look at some of these players that really stink up the joint. And yet then they go somewhere else and they're working with an entirely different type of playbook and a coach and players perhaps that, they just get along with better. There's better chemistry inside the clubhouse. And they come out and you would never know it was the same guy that was so bad the year before.
It does happen. I mean, that's obviously why the Steelers are taking a flyby on Dwayne Haskins. I mean, he stunk up the joint in Washington. Also, he wasn't playing for a guy who is as player-friendly as Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
For a better or worse, whether you like Tomlin or you don't, he is a player's coach because he's pretty close to a lot of the age of the players. I mean, he's older than me, but not
that much.
Not by that much. And when you have a 40-year-old quarterback, he's really not that far away from the age of the guys that he's playing for. He understands the culture of younger people, and he's probably a good coach for Dwayne Haskins to get a chance under. So I'm absolutely fine with that. I think they have nothing in it, and it's all upside. Maybe that'll be a good place. I mean, Frank Reich is a pretty good coach in Indianapolis, so maybe there's a chance. But here is where, and this is where the Steelers are getting caught too with this whole Roethlisberger saga, which we'll talk about briefly. But it's really whether he plays or he doesn't play. It's a lot of money towards the cap.
Yep.
Here's what the Eagles are facing. If you're a Steeler fan and you're upset about the Roethlisberger situation, let this blow your mind. With the trade, the Philadelphia Eagles will now take a $33.8 million dead cap hit, which is the largest dead cap hit in NFL history. If the salary cap is set to $180 million, which is what it looks to be, that means 18.7% of the Eagles' cap will be taken up by someone who's not even on the team. How are you supposed to be competitive with nearly 20% of your overall cap is not there?
Dead. It's dead.
Yeah. He's not the guy. Even if he's not even on the team. He's not even in the state. Ohio is between him and the state he's in now, and you're still taking nearly a 20% cap hit. And that's where people are getting so bent out of shape over this Roethlisberger thing. I mean, you know how I feel about it. I wish he'd retire today. Mm-hmm. And when I sell that to other people, and you might just get what you wish for. This is going to happen to the Steelers, whether it happens this year or this money's going to get eaten up in cap space for Ben Roethlisberger, whether it's now or never. Rip the Band-Aid off. Because that's what the Eagles just did. They ripped the Band-Aid off, went, we're screwed, we got to do it. Ripped the Band-Aid off, we got they were able to get a couple players out of it. But the dead cap space, it's a killer. You're going to have that with Ben. You're going to have somebody eating up a lot of cap that's either not going to play at a very high level. Obviously, you're not going to trade Ben Roethlisberger. You're just going to have dead money. You're going to have a lot of money wrapped up into someone who's really not doing anything for you. That's why it seems to me now's the time. Get it over with. Go 3-13. Get that second overall pick. Find that quarterback of the future, or whomever you're looking for in the future. But it's not Ben. And that's really where people are getting so sideways. Bring him back. Bring him back. No. Don't. And why would he want to come back? His best friend just retired. Pouncey just retired. The offensive line stinks. Juju is probably not going to be there. There's a good chance he's going to end up in Las Vegas. That seems to be who's real hot on Las Vegas and the Jets, which are two cities he probably would go to and thrive as a person. I mean, you don't have to like all his TikToking and social mediaing, but those are two great cities if that's where your life after football goes. Why would Ben Roethlisberger want to come back? They say that he does. The team says that he does, but they have been very unclear on whether they want him to.
But they always say that. It's just like we always know that once the day after the season ends, Ben's going to start dithering around. Yeah. So, and all these guys, they say, I want to retire a Colt. I want to retire a Steeler. I want to always be a Lion. And tomorrow, they're gone.
Yeah.
So, it's, I know.
Yeah, I know. The fan loyalty to Ben Roethlisberger is unbelievable. And again, I appreciate every contribution he's made to the team that I cheer for. I just don't see one last ride going all that well for him or the team. I mean, with the way that offensive line stinks right now, as soon as he goes out there and lines up, he won't line up under center probably, but as soon as he lines up in that first shotgun formation, he can't get out of the way because he's not mobile anymore, and the offensive line is Swiss cheese. He's going to be sitting out the whole season anyway. It's not doing anybody any favors. Here's a little mind-blowing thought. I saw this yesterday, and it just Oh, man. It just hurts my every Pirate feeling that I have. Fernando Tatis Jr. signs a 14-year deal worth $340 million. The Padres are all in. The Padres are trying to win now, and win a lot in the future. And I give them credit.
Isn't that how teams are supposed to be?
It is. It is. And yesterday I saw a graphic of the 4 highest paid players. And it struck me very deeply to realize Fernando Tatis will make more money in one season, actually only $10 million less than the Pirates are paying everybody.
Oh my God.
$10 million less a season than the Pirates are paying.
I wasn't drinking anything with that.
Yeah. So go ahead and just let that stew for you as we wrap up today's show. Appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back tomorrow to get into your weekend. For Lola, I'm Rick. Take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we'll be back on the Watchdog.